poopy thing.
They're pretty much sob stories. It's pretty.
All right. We've been live for just a hair's breath.
All right.
Okay.
I'm trying to get into
Does that work?
Dungeons and Dragons timetables, so I can't say things like 3
really...
seconds. Like we've been live for a heartbeat, possibly 2 heartbeats.
Are you?
Yes, a nonce. Yes.
We really should go
making
live
up
like
units
15 minutes
measurement?
early and play some music and stuff.
I know. I'm going to get a timer, and I'm going to work with Nate on building some videos that will actually run. I'm also going to get 2 timers, and we are going to start. We're going to change the format of the show a little bit in order to take advantage of some things.
Nice.
But we can discuss that later, because I'm sure our viewers don't give 2 rips about that.
Actually, they probably do.
Yeah, maybe.
They probably do for
I've never watched a show and be like, you know what, this needs a timer. 2! What do
2!
You better?
You know what's better than a timer?
But see, people get a notification when we go live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and you can't always like drop everything and be like, oh my god, it's time.
Right. Well, hopefully most of our viewers drop everything and go, oh my god, it's time. Speaking of our viewers, welcome everybody to Arragas City of Dreams. I am Sean Dixon, the Bearded Foe. And despite my best efforts, I have not yet been able to kill off or shake our intrepid heroes, so they are also here with me to make this adventure what it is. We spent a little bit of time... Oh, yes.
No, nothing.
Please
Don't know what you're talking
take the moment to mute your phones or whatever else. Did everybody get a good look at this object here that I passed around? Okay, great. Because you guys don't need to be able to speak intelligently about it.
Oh, are we going to be like tested on it? Can I see it again?
Yes, there will in fact be a test. Yeah. Okay.
Might as well.
So, as a quick recap, last week we finished our afternoon in Scalebolg, deep in what we believe to have been night scale territory, while we were looking for purple berry hawthorn root. As part of that investigation, you guys heard the cries of an animal in distress and responded, and found that there was a small band of orange and brown lizard folk, orange lizard folk, who had slain a smaller band of blue lizard folk and were eating them. And the cries that you heard, the cries of distress that you heard, were from the final living lizard folk that was trapped in a net and presumably being saved for a late afternoon snack or perhaps some sort of a dinner later. Combat ensued. Lizard folk, many lizard folk met their demise. And you were all able to free the blue lizard folk from his or her confines. I don't think any of you have been able to discern yet whether you're talking to males or females of lizard folk species.
I inquired.
Yes, there was an inquiry made, but no answer given.
I did hijack a riding dinosaur.
That is correct.
Oh, yeah.
During the combat,
Did you figure out
Arister...
I did not.
Arister has, we'll say captured Anikis, which is a large carnivorous lizard that lives in the swamp and can actually run through the swamp waters with efficacy.
Actually, I think we'd say the Negus captured his heart.
It did.
There was mutual capturing.
All the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park female.
Yeah, this isn't, I mean, life finds a way, but this isn't Jurassic Park.
Hey, I would know. I talked to him, right?
Yeah.
Him or
Did
her.
it talk like this?
Actually, it was just a bunch of flashes of like meat and eating meat and killing meat, and then every once in a while getting beaten by a lizard folk who was angry with me for some reason, and etc. etc. Okay.
The lizards going to heat? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think the females just lay eggs, and the males just come along and
do stuff to them.
Yeah, I think they fly over in spritz or something. I don't really know much about lizards. In the fantasy realm,
That's a better word than I was thinking.
We're gonna put a pin in that and come back to it.
in the fantasy realm, I'm sure you can find someone in Arragas who could speak at length about the breeding practices of lizard folk.
Well, I don't
Probably
particularly
me.
care if it's a boy or girl, but I
Maybe.
do care if
Actually, I
it
don't
can be
know what's
trained
possible.
to actually
Yes.
be a nuisance.
Right. So Arister spent the rest of the trip back to Arragas attempting to saddle break his Nikus with some success. You could about 1/3 of the time you could get it to move in the direction you wanted without getting off and dragging it by the little bridle that you, or the lasso or whatever that you made.
Perfect.
But of some importance, the site of the battle had a large toppled stone laying in the swamp water, right? And it was huge. I mean, it looked like it was a natural stone that just had jutted up out of the swamp. But upon further inspection, you found that it was actually part of some ancient structure that had fallen over. And Liliana in particular was very, very intrigued by the carving that was found on the side of the stone.
It's nature-y stuff.
The carving being the elven tree of life, which is a religious symbol for them, of particular value to the entire druidic system.
We're just having some serious player
Dice issues.
Okay.
It
He
resolved.
doesn't know how to roll
Yeah.
anything over.
Our, superstitions. Yeah, we're having a very player
I see.
superstitious
Well,
night.
maybe you should wait, Vesper, until after I'm finished talking about elven religion before you try testing the universe with your dice. Okay.
The gods are
I mean,
so
show a
much
little
better.
respect.
I
Circle
reset
of
it.
life.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
What you need to do as an elf is kill one of those dice and let it come back as a new dice, and hopefully it'll come back as a better dice, and it will have learned its lesson in this life.
No, let the dice be itself. If it
Oh.
wants to roll low, it can.
Here we go. Okay. So when she saw the carving, it was carving in stone of the Tree of Life, but there was something amiss about the carving itself, and she couldn't figure it out. She spent a lot of time basically staring at this carving, trying to understand, like, how is this different than every other carving that I've seen, you know? And so that weighed heavily on her thoughts as she traveled back to Arragas. And I think everyone else was just happy to get out of the swamp. Just getting back to Arragas and just happy to get out of the swamp.
It was getting real gross.
It was getting real gross. And you guys came back to Arragas. You got to the city gates right at dusk, right at nightfall.
I believe Steven has a new spell that can make us all not gross anymore. So.
Whoa. I should be utilizing that.
And I have a new spell that if you tore your pants along the way, I can help you.
They both, yes, but elven magic, it'll either save your life or it'll repair your pants. Those are your options. Okay, so you you guys return back to the city right at nocturne. Arister turns the Nikus in to I believe we called it the Nikus Nest. Was that the name of the nest? Yeah. In a
Exotic animal stables.
an
and
exotic
training
animal
facility.
stables where they had named it the Nikus Nest because, in a bit of irony, the Nikus is one of the most difficult animals to train. But they have agreed to at least stable the Nikus and give it their best try for a nominal fee, which Arister has also agreed to pay, at least for the span of
1 day.
2 nights. Was it 1 day or was it?
Something like that.
Okay.
I think it's 24 hours.
I think long enough for him to go retrieve the rest of the money. Okay, so we wake up on the first Olaguder of the Lover's Moon. Oops, let me make sure. Yep, we're in first Olaguder, so it's the end of the first week in the Lover's Moon. The Lover's Moon is important to most of you because this is the month that has 2 holidays, the Vigil and the Day of Tribute. So these are both holidays that commemorate the Battle of the Boneyard. The entire city celebrates these holidays. There's lots of... the way the Vigil works is there's lots of parades and people put weapons and armor out on their front porches and actually take civil watch duty over their own neighborhoods and over their own households and things like that in order to sort of show the forces that would try to bring the city down, like, we are always ready. Like, we stand ready. Like, we remember the Battle of the Boneyard and we stand ready. And then, of course, the Day of Tribute is the day when they bring out the scrolls in Grimnir's theater, and that the scrolls have the names of every person who was killed or went missing during the Battle of the Boneyard, and everyone goes there, and that's sort of like our version of Veterans Day, right? So for all of you, those are both going to be very important holidays, as everyone here has at least been touched by that particular battle. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that those two holidays are in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, and typically, while it's not something where shops close and everything's closed for a holiday, the idea of work and business is relaxed during those holidays. So if you show up to a shop and it happens to be closed, it's probably because the shopkeeper and everyone who works there is visiting the scrolls or out at a parade or whatever, and nobody begrudges anyone that sort of revelry. Okay, so you wake up the next morning. You guys have lots of options in front of you. Kerga has not yet shown up to Scalebolg. So it's early morning. Those of you who stayed at Scalebolg, you wake up, Kerga is not there. You guys are supposed to also sell some of the Purpleberry Hawthorn root to Magda. So that's going to need to happen. Otherwise, you went into the swamp for nothing, and well, not nothing. I mean, I guess there's a new Nekus mount on the horizon,
which I may sell if it becomes too unruly.
Can I just say that I may make it not unruly because I'm looking forward to really exploring a jealous horse mount as a personal character.
All right.
I've been working on my.
If it's a little rascal,
my main
I can't afford to keep it. So
little rascal.
If you're nice to me,
that's what you should name it.
I can
Rascal.
mediate between the two.
That would be great. We're gonna have to take him down to the. We haven't fully established this yet, but if there is a whaling yards.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Then I believe that's where we're gonna get his food ration for the day.
I need to think on that
Okay.
about whether there's like a
A whaling yard, like a yard where they pull up whales.
Where they
Oh,
pull the
whale. Okay, I thought whaling like.
No, not like
Like that sounds horrifying.
Like they go out.
Like, is that like outside the cemetery?
They go out and bring back
That's
whales,
messed up.
and there's like
I
extra
don't want to live anymore. Okay.
extra
Feed
whale
you to my
food
lizard.
everywhere. Whale meat.
Oh, that's wrong.
okay.
Whale.
So
Oh, whale.
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 All right, so since Kerga is not here, Vance comes in and he says, hey, I don't know. Kerga should be here. Kerga always comes every day, but he rolls in when he wants to, and I let him. So I mean, check back, I guess. In an hour, closer to lunch, maybe he'll be around. What were you guys doing in the swamp yesterday? You were gathering something for a client, right? Yes, you were acquiring and...
We were and did.
Very good, very good. I'm looking forward to receiving our 90%.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say 90%?
Is that the... I was going to
No,
say.
we've got a new percentage now. It's much lower now.
40?
Now that we're out of debt.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 40.
I believe it's
Oh,
30.
Wait a second. What?
25?
Well, when we were
25.
originally hired, there was a 90% goes to the guild, 10% is your guys' basically commission.
So now it's 15% guild.
But because of the time where we were unable to make payroll,
Are you
Kerga and I
handling this? Do you know anything about our mission? Because I could have sworn that it was just like me that went and got this mission.
Yeah, what does the contract say?
Yeah, but did you run it as a Sable Guard?
I mean,
Did you run it on guild business, or did you do it as a... Are you moonlighting? Are you moonlighting on us? Are you running your own Acquisitions and
keeping
Protection
half
Guild?
of the ingredients.
I mean,
I don't want
technically
ingredients.
We were
we
on
don't have any need for ingredients. We have need for
furlough.
gold.
Again, we're not
I know.
on
That's what
furlough
I'm saying. Is
I
now
did
Kerga
this.
and I
we're
have.
on furlough.
Yeah, but we're not on furlough anymore.
Now.
Are you guys leaving the guild?
No.
Would you calm down, please?
Well, I just can't. We've been through so much together, and I can't imagine that now that we're square, you guys are going to strike out on your own and start your.
Oh,
What are you going to call
we're
yourselves?
squares? How did
Saffron
that
I
Guards?
just
happen?
feel like that our position in
Well-
the guild is somewhat
Kessler opens a beer
Let me
because
s-
it's early. It's early in
Yeah.
the morning.
Let me
It's
see if- let me
late.
see if I
somewhat
We
lower
paid
than
all that
our
money.
actual contribution.
Let me see if I can get this straight. If I remember correctly, we were fine. Then you guys got us in trouble with the guild hall, and then you guys got us out of the trouble that you started with the guild hall, and now we're square and no hard feelings.
Exactly.
Right?
But we did an amazing job
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
getting out of debt.
I couldn't agree more. That's why
Which means
that's
our
why
stock
the
should
commission.
go up.
Yeah, that's why the commission ratio is now.
5 to 95%.
Yeah, we'll see how that happens.
Well, I haven't run this by Kerga, but
I mean,
let's
you
say
can try to go talk to the client.
let's say 30%. Let's say you guys are on a new 30% commission rate. 30%.
You know, I'll
Should-
take
should
that
I
under
send
advisement.
him?
I've got to run it by
That's
my
1/3.
accountant.
Send him to collect from the client.
We'll have to
I mean, I
go
can't
over
wait
the
to
contract.
see that. That'll be
of course.
fun.
Well, I
But-
would hate for this
Sorry.
to turn into. I would hate for us to part business ways. That would.
We're
that would
definitely
break my
not
heart.
parting business ways. We are going to put a pin in this, and we're going to circle back around
We are
it
founding
to
Right.
members.
So am I.
What is he talking about?
I'd put
It's okay.
100 gold out
It's
for
okay.
him and just
I'm good.
say,
All right. Well, anyway, go
We
conduct your
distance.
business, and by the
Okay.
time you come back
I'll
to
give you
pay
30%.
Sable Guard our business cut, I'm sure Kerga will be here and will be able to talk to you about whatever it was that you all wished to speak with him about.
I keep thinking Kerga is a girl's name. And like every time you say
That's because you got a friend named Durga.
Well,
Dorga.
How I tell them apart is Dorga is younger because she's Dorga the Explorga.
Yeah.
And
That joke doesn't get old.
it doesn't.
you should keep telling it.
She has that.
Well,
pet
Kerga
dog.
is actually short for Kergaman.
Okay. That made
And
me
man
happy.
is spelled with 2 N's
So it's
and
double man.
2 M's,
Yeah.
as it turns out.
Double.
Kergam and but he doesn't like going by that because most non-dwarves can't pronounce it right.
Yeah,
So
fair.
he just tells everyone call him Kerga. Okay,
Man, I hate those non-dwarves.
as do I. Okay, so you guys head out across the city to go visit Magda at the Musty Oak Pit.
Musky.
It's musky, not musty. Okay, it's musky. Musky Oak Pit. When you get there, she is in her customary place, which is basically just sitting on a stool inside a huge tree, sort of snoozing and shouting obscenities and lewdness at passersby in the form of, I can sell you something for that itch, madam. The one you're trying not to scratch, madam. I'm sorry, I did her voice wrong. Madam. No, that's too sexy. Madam. There we go.
It's your nice witch voice. if you
Yeah.
work
I'm a
keep
nice
track.
witch. Anyway, come
There
here.
you go.
Let's have a seizure.
That's pretty
I'm not on
close.
a stool, but I give it to you.
You can
Is she
take
dirty?
this as me digging through my bags.
Is she in dirty clothes?
Physically.
She is accustomed to a lower level of personal hygiene than you. So since dirty is so subjective, I would say
I'm gonna say
that you would consider her extremely dirty. Everyone else would consider her just sort of, 3 days into the week or whatever.
Salt of the earth.
I cast Prestidigitation on her just to, like when Q cleans up Captain Picard.
I really don't do
It's just
that.
like,
So you pull off just like the tiniest speck of unnoticed lint
oh no,
where she had neglected to. What are you looking for?
I'll
I'm
cast
looking-
for it.
I see where you did
She's
that.
sparkling.
I had
Wash
written
her
mine
clean.
down, too.
It should be on your
It's not.
Usually you have to ask for consent
Oh, that's
before
right,
cleaning
okay.
something.
Yeah, alright, so you cast
Thoroughly.
Prestidigitation.
Can't take it.
9.
And
Or
you-
no, you changed it. To
Yeah, it's 9. It's not 5, it's 9. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't remember that you put it in your trinkets, so I just wrote it on the back of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so while Liliana is digging out the 9 purpleberry hawthorn roots, or however many she plans to sell, Vesper casts Prestidigitation upon the person of Magda. Her blouse crispens up. The collar really pops now.
Starch.
And the colors all become just noticeably more vibrant. And she looks down and says, what's this? What are you doing? Casting your foul magics upon me?
Well, it seemed like your sales pitch could use a little boost.
She walks over to one of those side walls of this tree. She pulls out a bag. She puts her hand in and she pulls out like some sludgy stuff. She's like, thank you to keep your magic off of me.
Yeah.
Personal bubble and all that.
Is it at least symmetrical?
No, now it looks like it was before. This is your fault.
I mean,
I
like does she
had a
have
nice grime built up. And
like an X or so, in sludge?
yeah,
Maybe,
she.
yeah.
Can you just infinitely cast?
Yeah, actually, I believe it is a chantrip.
Yeah.
She'll run out of sludge eventually.
And it's 10 feet away. It's like,
Yeah.
if she doesn't want it.
Okay.
All right.
spell
So she
saves 15.
says. So she looks at Liliana, and she says, I see your penchant for flim flam is beginning to rub off on your friends. Do you have what we agreed upon?
Sure, but yeah, I do.
Let's see them.
Okay, I'm gonna save 3 for myself. So that's 6 for her.
Nice. She kind of looks them over and tumbles them around in her hands and lays them down on a tiny little plank, like this big, like a little shelf, and she's sort of scrutinizing them and like rolling them back and forth with her fingers to look at their coloration and their crookedness and if it's got lots of nice twisty bends in the root, because that's where the magic hides, in the bends, in the twisty bits. I hope you're paying attention. I don't see you writing any of this down.
I'm real smart.
That was her laughing. Not me. All right. So she looks them over and she says, all right. So she reaches into another pouch that's just hanging on the wall, pulls out a smaller pouch and opens that up, and basically dumps out just a whole bunch of gold griffins onto the plank. She stacks them in little piles of 10, and she gives you 150 griffins. And as she's sliding the money over to you, in the same motion, she swipes the board clean and knocks all of those 6 purpleberry hawthorn roots into a little jar, a little clay pot with a lid, which she stashes on the wall.
That seems
She says, you need more of these to make even the most basic of growth potions.
I know.
Okay, I would have thought you would have spent more time. I thought you wanted to learn the growth potion.
We got a little distracted. It's okay.
Well, the swamp can do that. I'm glad that you're not dead, at least. I'm getting too old and creaky to be trudging around in the swamps looking for these things. It's nice to have someone young and lithe enough to run out into the swamps and foolishly and bravely risk her own life.
Crisp joints.
I mean, have you been out there?
Once and long ago, yes, I used to travel out there. But now listen. And she's all, you hear that? That's just from 3 moons ago. Right here.
I was like, nah. I could probably make you a salve, but
At that moment, she looks at someone across the way and she says, for 10 silvers, I'll gnaw that off of your face. And you look over and there's man standing there with just like a big old sore on his jaw.
With
And
your
as soon as
teeth?
he sees you guys staring at him, he covers it and scuttles off.
With your teeth? How does that help?
I've got more than one set.
Gotcha.
You'll learn it too if you want. How
Did
to
you find
gnaw.
anything weird last time you went out there?
No. I mean, you find all sorts of things in the swamp, but not anything I would consider weird.
Or disturbing or unsettling?
Oh, there's plenty of disturbing and unsettling things in the swamp.
Oh,
It stretches on for many, many miles.
never mind.
I've only been to the other side once.
You wait, other side of the swamp?
Yes. It can't go on forever.
Well, yeah.
It's not like the end of the sea, which goes on forever.
Sure. Have you seen Ortholus?
No, I don't like him. Why would I see him?
Just wondering.
There's a reason I stashed myself smack dab in the center of this monstrosity of a city. Because he doesn't come here. I'll tell you what, if you knew what's good for you, you'll stay away from Ortholos too. He's a manipulator, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to sell? Do you have anything you would like to buy? I've got some new stuff.
I mean, I got bloodstones.
I've got bloodstones.
I don't want to give you my moonstone.
I don't need moonstone.
Did I give you guys my amethysts? Are they still on the bottom of my bag?
You know, if you keep giving everything away, you'll never make any money.
I don't have any.
I
I don't have anything to sell the witch either.
no.
Oh, I do not actually.
I've got some incense.
Anytime she turns away from me, I clean her up.
Okay.
Just the backside.
Just the back half of her.
Right.
Just like a strip each time.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Let me see
Just do a
here.
patch
So passive
floor at a
aggressive.
time.
Yeah. I'll put a little flower embroidery on a robe too.
So passive aggressive. All right. Well,
Do you have any do you have any potions in stock?
no.
Healing potions?
No.
You have any shade spear? Sun petals?
I may.
Wintergrass? Anything like that?
I've got all sorts of things like that. What are you looking to buy?
Nah, never mind.
Ah,
I just realized I don't have time
is
to
it something with the
brew.
sun with you? Like, as the sun gets higher, your flim flam goes up and up and up.
Maybe.
All right, move on. I've got things to sell and gnaw upon.
Okay.
Go on, shoo.
Okay.
Our business is concluded. Get. You too.
If you haven't
She
noticed,
walks-
Believe me.
She walks to the outside of the tree, and you see her just like start scraping her back on the bark.
The Kerga should be back by now.
I could make you a salve for that. I walk off.
Something tells me she enjoys it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she'd make her own salve.
I'm
Yeah.
just using her.
All right, so you guys leave Magda's shop and begin heading back towards Sable Guard.
And if you guys can't tell, I'm very distracted.
Yeah. Actually, Liliana, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Okay. Stupid side of the thing. Let's see.
Stupid side of the thing. That's sort of like saying this controller is broken.
12.
12. All right.
I am very
You see a snowy white owl perched on one of the eaves of a building near you, and as soon as you make eye contact with it, you sense that it wants you to follow it, and it takes off and starts flying towards the city gate.
Oh, gotta go. And I start running after it.
Okay. So Liliana trots off into the morning.
Into the darkness.
Into the darkness.
I'm
of
used
morning.
to it by now.
Yeah.
There might be
I'm
something to
still
this
not
flim
used to
flam.
it. I'm just not used
Actually,
to it.
are you going to change into a bird and fly with him, or? Oh, that's right. No.
Wow, way to rub it in her face.
Oh.
turns into a turkey.
She tries really hard while she's writing Jack.
She's like, no, wait, I saw this new one. She turns into a penguin.
You know, if you want, I can turn you into a squirrel and throw you at the bird.
Yeah.
Catch you into a claw.
Yeah, and the owl will catch you
The owl will
and
catch
carry you to
Carry you
safety.
to safety. That's right.
I will turn
yeah.
into the same thing I always turn into, a big black cat.
Okay,
I have a
and
sling.
you begin running off.
I
All right.
will-
So you guys continue on heading back towards Scalebolg, and it seems like the day when everyone wants to get your guys' attention.
All right.
Kethra, make a perception check. Please.
Okay. Which die do I want to use?
You're
You're
the
gonna be
20-sided one.
Oh, thanks, babe. I appreciate that.
You are.
That's good. As a learning moment.
Not this one. This is not the one I wanted. Is how important is this perception check? Because I got an 8.
You don't know how important the perception check was because you missed it entirely.
Because I-
You're not even aware there's
Well, 'cause
something to perceive.
I was joking around
Uh-huh.
with Makaria about Liliana turning into a cat and just darting off.
Yeah.
And so we were laughing about that. And
Yeah,
so I just
I'm sure the joke was something like, "I hope she doesn't pull that at Scalebolg because old Pappy McAllister, he's a bit of a tomcat."
Did I see
That's
whatever
weird.
it was? Because I never joke around.
Sure, I'll have you make a perception check.
And I've been taking good care of Pappy McAllister.
I got a 10.
Only because, you don't notice anything
Oh, okay.
either. Okay, but only because you were looking back at the two of them to scowl at them for their.
I was so
tasteless
hyper
joke.
vigilant
Yeah.
that I didn't see whatever it was. That was the
Okay, so you get
I was on the lookout.
back to Scalebolg, and Kerga and Vance are there, and they're doing that thing again where they're away from the door. Kerga has pulled out some sort of a large scroll, and the two of them are talking about it and sort of pointing on the scroll. And the instant you guys come in, and they both look over at you, Vance basically stands up to stand between all of you and Kerga hurriedly rolls the scroll up and wraps it up and puts it in this big leather case, which he then secures to his person.
That's not sketchy at all.
He says, you're back already. I've told Kerga you were looking for him. Kerga? And Kerga leans out. What do you want?
Well, we found this coin off in the swamps.
Uh-huh. Do you give it to him?
Yeah. I'm trying to get on his good side.
Okay, so he grabs the coin and he kind of looks at it, and at first he's like, big deal, and found a coin, and then when he gets a good look at it, you see him start to really and his eyes get wide, and he's like flipping it over, and he's flipping it, and he's like rubbing it, and he's like holding it in his hand, and he's like, where did you find this?
It was out in the swamps.
The green lizard people
Where?
gave it to us.
Green lizard folk had this coin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we traded it for it.
Where did they get it from?
Well, I don't know.
He
didn't
hands the
I
coin
assume
over.
they stayed in the swamp for the most part. So somewhere there.
He hands the coin over to Vance, and he says, "Have you seen any more like that one?
No, just this one.
Where were you in the swamps? North, east, west? Right near the gate? Where were you?"
I don't know.
By the
Middle-ish?
Couple
By the
hours
eating
in.
Were there any
They're just kind of wandering around.
markers? Any stone carvings or statues?
There were swamp trees.
Yeah, there were a lot of
There
them.
was,
Was there not a stone
rock
carving?
with a tree of
Not when
life
you guys
carved
No,
into
where
it?
we got the coin, though, that was much further in.
Oh.
Where we got the coin,
I
there
don't know.
wasn't.
So halfway between that
It
rock
was
Maybe,
just crazy.
yeah.
town.
So.
Yeah, not elvish carvings. That's rubbish. Dwarven markers.
No. But we could have just not seen it because it was a swamp.
Ah.
So.
He turns to Vance, and Vance is like looking at the coin, which you guys remember the coin had a skull on one side, and then on the back side it had like sort of a flaming sphere on it, and a bunch of dwarven runes that none of you could make out, right? because it wasn't a dwarven word. Like you could read the letter. I think someone here reads dwarven, right? Doesn't someone?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You guys could read the words
Dwarven.
or the letters, but it didn't say anything in dwarven.
Maybe dwarven as well.
All right, so Vance looks at it and he actually reads out loud and he says Neurazius, and Kerga looks at him and says hush. And Vance kind of is taken aback by that, and Kerga says, he looks at the four of you and he says, I'll buy it off of you.
What aren't you telling us about this coin?
No.
It's unimportant. It has
Obvious.
racial sentimental value to me and my kind. None of you would find use for it.
Well, I guess we should just keep it
Yeah.
because it's so sentimental.
I'll give you 100 gold for it right now.
No.
100 griffins.
No.
I'll give you 100 gold to stop asking about it and give us our coin back.
Okay.
Well, how about instead of that, a free cleaning?
He hands your coin back to you.
All right.
He gets visibly pissed off, turns to Vance, and says, "I'll be at the knee high," and he walks out.
Well, let's go buy a sandwich with our coin.
Yes.
And Vance
I'm
says,
hungry.
In the dwarven market, I'm sure they'll take it.
Well,
Vance says, I would not try to spend that coin around any dwarves. That would be a poor choice.
what is it?
Well, it's old. I can tell you that. It may be a bit of evidence for something that Kerga has been on about for probably a decade now, since before he and I worked together. I'll just say it's really important to him, and you should consider selling him the coin. You won't get a better deal than that from anyone. And if you show it to the wrong types of people, you might get in trouble. You know how dwarves are. They hold grudges. This money is from the 9 Centuries War.
We live in Arragas. Arragas is run by humans.
That is correct.
Running afoul of dwarves does not bother me.
It bothers me. That's not very nice.
Well, don't run
We're
afoul.
all supposed
Don't
to
run
be
afoul.
able to
of
get-
them.
Who actually has
Get
the
it.
coin? Who's carrying the coin?
Wonder who had it.
I'll
And that's
do
what
it.
it probably was since he handed
That's
it
Yeah,
over.
really
sure.
good, but-
Okay, so here I'll just hold this,
I am
or I'll
not
just give this
there.
to you for now. But make sure you write down on your character sheet,
Creepy
and this
dwarf
is
coin.
what you're gonna put. Okay, you're gonna put skull dwarf coin, and then in parentheses you're gonna put Neurazius. That's what's written on the back.
Yeah, I wrote that word down,
You-
so I would not forget that
Yeah, you. And those of you who read Dwarven, that's not a word for anything, so it's clearly some sort of a proper noun.
Right.
Okay? Neurazius is spelled Narazius. Neurazius.
Neurazius.
Okay?
A place with giant.
Oh, I spelled it right.
tuppence.
Infamous dwarven lord.
Yeah,
perhaps?
and actually,
If I start having nightmares with
do
this
you,
thing in my pocket,
yeah, do
I'm
you
throwing it into the series.
do you speak Dwarven?
No.
Roll.
I actually speak Sylvan. I thought.
I speak
Okay, roll a lore. Well, you probably wouldn't know this. Just he has a slight chance of knowing it because A, he's long lived, and B, he's a bard. Roll history, but without, like, if you have advantage or anything on it, then just roll a regular history check
Okay.
without advantage.
15.
15.
Oh,
Okay.
16, sorry.
Okay, good. Well, you don't know anything in particular about the history of the coin, but you do actually recognize some of the lettering as being Middle Dwarven, which would tell you that it is an older coin. Like it's written with some of the old letters that dwarves haven't used in 300 years.
But that isn't like lettering they put on cursed items or anything, right?
As far as you know, no, there's no
Okay.
cursed item.
So it's just a really old.
Don't you have a? Yeah, don't
It
you
does
have
have a skull on it.
Yeah, it's
That's typically not a good sign.
It's written in an old enough tongue that it validates Kerga's claim that it's an old coin, an ancient coin that has racial value to him and his kind.
Okay.
But you don't. But other than that, you don't know what Neurazius means, and you don't know why there's a skull on it. And do you have detect magic? Are you gonna try to detect to see if the coin is cursed or otherwise
No, I don't
magical?
No.
No.
I can use divine sense to see if it's evil.
Sure. So you ask Vesper if you can hold the coin.
I'll hold the coin.
If you can hold on to the coin for a moment.
I am holding the coin.
Yeah, and you concentrate and sort of, calm
if it's
yourself.
evil, I will smite it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Like, smite
Yeah.
You
So
tried to do with that
after
I did
Remember
poorly
that?
with the book.
after the space of a few heartbeats, you can determine that the coin is not evil or
Excellent.
doesn't seem to be maligned in any way.
All right, it's just
And you will note also that it's got
Unfortunately decorated.
that nice hefty dwarven weight to it. Because you guys know that dwarven coins are actually more
Can I tell what metal's made out
pure.
of?
It's gold.
It's pure gold.
It's gold.
Okay.
Yeah. That you guys would know that regular dwarven gold pieces, gold marks, are actually worth 2 griffins because they're by weight. They have enough gold in them to be melted down and then recast as 2 gold griffins.
Got it.
So this dwarven coin is not any different. It's
not
heavier.
It's not discolored or anything.
Nope. It looks like just an old, worn down gold coin. But theoretically, if you're on one in the swamp, you might find more in the swamp. Vance tells you guys to take care, and he packs up. Well, he doesn't pack up. He just grabs his little jacket and heads out of Scalebolg.
Well, we still have some other dwarven comrades to ask about this thing.
You do. You've got Grim Grom, who may be in Arragas, or he might be out at Watonga, and then you've got Dorga. I believe Kethra, were you planning on sending? Did you have time to send this little tidbit in your most recent letter to Dorga? Did you write one last night, or?
I write one every night, and I send it out in the morning.
Okay, so are you? So chances are you probably still have your letter for today. Are you going to PS?
No, I would have written about it last night.
Okay, all right.
Before I went to bed.
Okay, so I'll tell you what exactly did you write to her? Because I need to know.
Oh, I should have brought my journal!
Aw.
Do you want me to do
And
it?
I'd be able to tell
Hey
you.
girl, how's
Well,
it
did
going?
did you ask her,
Hey girl,
like,
found
hey?
dwarven coin.
Hi, girl, hi!
Went out in the swamp. That place is whack.
That's so gross. I can't. I really did write it down the other day, but I can't remember exactly what I wrote.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
But
Why
it was
don't you just
drunk and
word
proselytized to some
one
lizard people?
question to me that Dorga will attempt to answer after she gets the letter.
Okay, my question would have been like something like, we found this crazy coin, and it's got a bunch of writing on it,
Who's your dad?
but I can't read it because it's not dwarvish. Do you know
It's Canada.
what... Do you have any idea what the flame or this skull on this coin or what this is?
So you're just asking. So you give her a general description of the coin. It's got a skull on one side and a flaming circle orb on the back with the word
Yeah, 'cause
Neurazius written on it.
I wouldn't have been able to read it.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay.
It would have
And
been
drew a
very
little
generic.
picture for her.
So just
I wouldn't
do,
have drawn
do
a
you know?
picture, but
I
yeah, I would have
would've
taken
drawn
the
a picture.
coin and I would have.
No.
No.
Etching. You could. That would be
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
easy to do.
Did you
That's
actually
what I thought.
sketch the
Yeah.
coin out on the letter?
Tried to
Did you
do
draw
that
it? Okay.
No, I was saying I wouldn't have
Yeah.
done that because
Yeah.
that I
Make
would
one
have been
saving throw of
tired.
every kind.
I would have very.
If you fail even one, you're dead.
No, I would have been too tired. I was really tired last night. If I remember.
Okay.
We got back from the swamps and I was like ready to go to bed.
Okay, so all right, I'm just writing down that you told about the skull, the flaming orb, and the name which you could not read. So she does not know
She doesn't know the name.
that
'cause I
it says
couldn't read.
Neurazius.
Right.
Okay, flaming orb,
I would have said weird writing.
old dwarven. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So are you guys going to follow Kerga and Vance to the knee-high? So the knee-high is actually a place called Frost Braids, and it is a dwarven bar. Like it's They're not. They would never close their doors to everyone, but certain people just know not to go there, and other people. I mean, it's a very rough and tumble place, and the service is lacking when it comes to non-dwarves.
It's a good thing I'm a rough and tumble guy.
Some people who who have earned the right and the respect of their dwarven friends can comfortably go there with their dwarven friends. The reason it's called the knee-high, that's actually a derogatory term that nobody uses with impunity except dwarves, is because it's actually built into the ground, so you have to go down basically into the earth to get into the bar. So think of it like a basement bar. And the roof of the building is about 2 feet off of the ground. And so it's about knee high. And so everyone who's not a dwarf started calling it the knee high. And there were more than a few fists thrown over something like that. But now that sort of everyone knows it as the knee high, but only dwarves would actually use that term without worrying about getting punched by other dwarves.
Yeah, I'll cast invisibility on myself and follow them.
Okay, so, well, are you just following them, or are we making a decision to follow Kerga to Frost Braids?
She's like, will you take it off?
Yeah.
She just goes.
There's a dog with a cone on its head.
Cone of shame dog.
Did they take that map with them?
Oh yeah, Kerga sealed that baby up before you even got close enough to look at it.
Does he ever not have it on?
There are times when he doesn't have it, but during those times, you've never seen him keep it at Sable Guard. So when he brings it to Sable Guard, it's to discuss it with Vance.
Got it.
And he never lets it out of his sight. Like, you've only seen him with it 2 or 3 times, and he's always got his hand on it. Like, even when it's unrolled, he's holding it so that it doesn't go anywhere. So it's interesting that he asked you where exactly in the swamp you found the coin.
You can't fit it there.
And also that he asked you about, did you notice any stone markers? That could be something that would indicate where to find more of those coins.
Yeah, sure, we'll go to the dwarf bar.
Is this a quick question though? Because my
That's
dad,
the baby.
just wondering if my character has background for this bar. Because Dad works with the dwarves all the time. Would I know about this bar?
Well, he still works with dwarves all the time. Yeah, you know about it. You've never gone.
I've never been there though. Yeah,
And your dad has only gone on a few occasions, and always with dwarves.
Okay.
Like,
so I would
always.
know those. That's really what I was asking. I would know that.
Like, everything I told them about the knee high, you knew all that already.
Okay.
You knew it. Yeah. And you've been around dwarves your whole life. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Right.
Okay, so you guys all are headed to Frost Braids?
I don't know if we should go there, guys.
I've been in plenty of bars, it's fine.
We just might not be very welcome.
I can find out what they're doing and report back.
I mean...
That attitude seems...
I want to know what this damn coin is.
I'm a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
We know.
I won't be turned away.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I don't really want to go because if we go, I might get in trouble if we cause problems. So I'm gonna sit this one out.
You're not going to a bar?
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand that. It just if we do something bad and then it gets back to my dad, the consequences for me are going to be much higher than the rest of you.
Well, I certainly feel like we are treated as, how do I put this, lesser guild members. So I would like to talk to Kerga and Vance about...
I mean, Vance is the guild master and mastered.
I feel like if there's a ranking system within the guild, like we would be like...
Oh yeah, no,
B class.
Yeah, if they no, you guys aren't B class. You guys are A class.
A class,
but
that's right.
They are executives.
Like S class.
You guys are
class, yeah.
Executives that don't make no money.
Yeah, you guys are. If they hire new people into the guild, you guys are all outranked. The new people, they're going to get the 90-10 split, not the 70-30.
Yeah, I feel like we need to be in the upper echelons at some point.
Yeah.
like in the circle of trust.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me.
Things like the map.
When you guys go back, Vance asks about the payment. What do you tell him? You tell him nothing.
1090, not 90-10.
Well, she didn't go back with us, right? She
I
ran
didn't.
up
Yeah.
to-
Oh, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
so and she took the money.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
has the
Okay,
money.
so what do you
That
guys-
was the first thing I noticed, Sean.
So what do
She
you
turned
guys-
out into a cat. I was like, crap, there goes the
She's
money.
like, thanks. Oh, hey guys, I gotta go.
I guess we can follow him to the bar.
First thing I noticed.
Okay, so when he asked about the money, did you guys just say, "Oh, Liliana has the money"?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, perfect timing. All right, so you guys head off towards Frost Braids, and it is time for our 10-minute break.
Excellent.
So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll break for 10 minutes, get up everybody, and stretch your legs, and take care of all of your needs: fresh drinks, hot popcorn, whatever you may need. And we will return at 9 o'clock in Punta.
All
On
right.
the dot. 9 o'clock. All
Jim,
right.
do you want to share your shame with the world?
Oh, don't
I
embarrass
feel
her like
if
that.
June's gonna sit at this table, she needs to roll a character. That's what I feel.
Mean. Poor
I mean, I'm inclusive, and
Oh.
I'll let people sit at my table, but not just to sit here.
She's
They gotta
got a
do
shame
something.
cone. Well, she can be cute.
June, you're stuck.
Yeah, she got
You're
a
stuck, June. Come up
a
on the
cut
chair.
on her pad,
Come up on the chair.
which the cut itself wasn't that bad, but then she licked it to ribbons,
Oh,
and
no.
I mean until it was like raw and bloody.
Show the world your
Show the
And
world.
made-
Shame. You're so
and
mean.
made-
shame face.
So this is
Been afflicted
This is
with
like
a cone
the-
condition.
This is like the opposite of getting so drunk you put a lampshade on your head. She is so sober that she inverted a lampshade onto her head so that she could avoid getting even alcohol splashed in her mouth. So
She's like, take it off.
And now you
yeah,
can.
well she wants to so that she can then lunge at you and try to eat your face.
Yeah. See, it's
So I wouldn't.
the worst
I wouldn't
part.
do
I
that
just
if
had
I
it
were
without
you.
fear.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I don't know, maybe you would then be her savior.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I gave her part of my sandwich too, and that still didn't affect her biting.
I feel like she feels entitled to food, so it's never a favor. It's what you've owed her this whole time,
Yeah.
and you're only just now making good on a debt.
My
right?
patronage.
You know? Yeah, like you're only just now covering what you need to cover. All right, so you guys are headed towards Frost Braids.
I'm invisible.
At what point are you going to turn invisible?
Before we get to the bar, but
Okay. So
not-
let me ask a different question. So your invisibility lasts for an hour, right?
Mhm.
Or is it longer?
It's an hour.
Okay. So how many minutes do you want to have left on your spell when you enter Frost Braids?
As much of an hour as I can.
Okay. So about 5 minutes out, you're gonna turn invisible, and then
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. That should allow at least for some decent reconnoiter. We'll see though. You've never actually been to the Knee-High. You don't know. You're just like a dwarven bar.
I know there's some dwarves.
Yes. Huh? What's that?
We know there's some dwarves somewhere in there.
Oh yeah, no, there will most likely be dwarves all over the place, but actually it's in the morning, so it probably won't be nearly as packed as because it's not the end of the workday or anything.
Dwarves aren't nocturnal.
No, I mean some are, some are.
Well, their sense of time's all screwed up because they live underground.
Yeah.
Old dwarves. Yeah, I'm worried I'm gonna have to muzzle Manicus like around town, so it won't like
You will.
try to eat livestock.
In the beginning, you will, because it's not Arister. Why? What? Arden Stride has been with you for a long time.
I don't
like
smell
you,
like lizard predator.
He's like, well, no, but what I mean is you guys are at the point now where you share that whole, like, my best friend.
Bonded mount.
Yeah, like you guys, like he doesn't act out of. If he ever acts without your express direction, it's because he's spooked or because he's trying to protect you from
I'm
something.
just gonna have to explain to him.
The Nikus...
There's some terrain that he doesn't want to walk in.
Yeah, the
and this
Nikus has a brain the size of a
lizard-
walnut or whatever.
Yeah,
and
the
so,
lizard doesn't care. Where
Yeah,
he
he's
walks.
not... He has... You have yet to get him to discern even one of your commands, much less the unspoken command from years of bonding.
I'm not going to let Ardent Stride get rusty, but probably over like certain terrain types, I think the Nikus is probably the better way to go.
Well, plus, and I think you would probably have already thought of this, you're going to need to figure out what you're going to do with yourself if the Nikus ever leaps like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because you saw it leap and you were like, whoa. Like, if I was on the back of that, I might have gotten thrown horribly.
What I'm going to do is
Prep for
probably
that.
have like a wand of magic missiles, like tied down to the back of its head.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, if it ever like gets truly unruly, I can just grab that sucker and blast his brain out, and then he'll.
I see.
I thought you were going to do like an aerial.
Yeah, I thought you were going to reach out
no,
and
yeah. That would be
just
cool.
tap the wand to shoot. Like, beep, 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 beep.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Nikus,
I was
look
thinking
over there.
like if it starts attacking people and I have to put it down, I could just hit that button and it would be a kill switch.
Yeah.
Isn't there a
But I
glyph
like-
of warding
I
or
like
something
your
like
idea
that
better.
that you can make bomb collars essentially with? You like
Let's try to avoid. making
Yeah,
bomb
let's
collars
just
maybe.
not bring bomb collars into this game.
I've had so many other games where bomb collars
Yeah.
played a super important role.
I just feel like at this point you should be adding them to your equipment lists. People, hey, I can buy a bomb collar. You know, yeah.
no, but seriously, like
several
glyph of
different
warding.
yields.
Like,
Several different types of yields.
oh,
Yeah.
High capacity bomb collar kills like everybody around.
High
Let's avoid
capacity.
that.
High capacity.
Wait,
I mean, how high does it need to be, really? If it's around someone's neck, even a tiny explosion would probably bleed them out.
Yeah.
You know, before
Yeah.
anybody could do anything.
Well, I'm going to try to become friends with the Nikus, so the bomb collar would be unnecessary. That's the best case scenario. And then Ardent Stride is going to become best friends with the Nikus. And they're going to be bros. And they're not going to try to eat each other. This is just my hopes and dreams.
it sounds
Well,
like a
I
first
share-
grader's like plan.
I share some of your hopes and dreams. We will work
Yeah.
towards making that Nikus a usable mount.
Yeah.
That's because that's what he is.
Yes, yeah, he's Mount.
Just
That's right.
lizard folk train him differently. You might have to break a few bad habits out of him, but other than that, you know.
I'm just saying, I want my mighty steed and my pet dinosaur to be best friends. One day.
Probably not at first, though.
Probably not first.
You need to come up with a name if you're gonna.
Man, Nico the Nikus is still probably up there. I haven't firmly committed on that one.
Why
I'll leave.
don't you just call him like Kent?
I think we should poll the audience and have them vote on some names.
Yeah,
Hey,
let's.
that's a good
We've got
idea.
8 viewers in the stream right now, or at least that's what my dashboard is saying. What do you guys think? What if you guys had a dinosaur mount, a Nikus, which is a large lizard? What would you name him? Arister is shopping around for names for his Nikus mount. So we've still got a few minutes if you guys want to vote on a name.
Nikus pieces.
What are some
Yeah.
solid dinosaur names?
Brad.
Dino the last dinosaur.
Well,
Oh yeah, I know.
Was
What
it?
are the names from
Wasn't there
that TV
Littlefoot?
show?
Littlefoot from
Littlefoot, that's right.
No, not
Man
that
Before
one.
This is a
Time.
meat eater.
No, the
so-
TV show where they were all dinosaurs. What were their names?
Oh,
you know, the
yeah.
one where they were all Muppets.
Yeah.
okay, so we've got some. We've
The
got
baby
some
was
good
just
answers
named
already.
Baby or
Was
something.
there-
Yeah.
Beard and Brush has said that the obvious answer is Rex. You know, the name
Okay,
Rex.
yeah.
Yeah.
Duchess said Queen E. Lizard Beth. So Queen Lizard Beth. Yeah.
That's pretty. That's
Dusty
pretty,
2.0 has just
Say.
simply said that he hopes that your horse eats your lizard
Wow.
that would be in a turn of ironic events.
I
mean,
still would love
that'd be
it,
awesome.
Sean, if Dusty is absolutely right, and that coin is from the ancient, like, what is it, Nazarius cheeses.
Oh, is Nazarius a cheese? Narazius is a cheese?
No, like Chuck E. Cheese. And
Dwarven Chuck E. Cheese token. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they built these like little
There's all these-
animatronic like steel
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's all these
skeletons
children
in the
to play
lost
in.
city.
galleries and
And
stuff.
that
Dwarven galleries.
fits because if dwarves ever build robots, even Chuck E. Cheese robots, they're going to turn into an evil robot army. Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that. Yeah.
and it
You
got
turn
destroyed.
the key this way, and they're all kill everything.
And he has this map because he's been searching
There-
every corner of the
there's
city trying to
something-
find the lost Chuck E. Cheese of the dwarves.
There's something I know, and that's if you build a robot army, you need to expect it to turn evil and try to kill you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, buddy.
Reptar.
Reptar has been
Reptar is awesome.
has been suggested. Reptar.
Is this for names?
All
for your-
right.
Naming
Yeah,
the
for naming
Negus.
the Negus.
Name that Negus.
Reptar's pretty solid.
Yeah, Reptar's pretty solid. All right. So Arister has taken the votes into account. I would say we can keep the voting open for the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
And we'll just scroll
yeah.
back through
Yeah.
and see
If
what.
one really leaps out to me, that's the one I'm gonna cling to.
Actually, if
This
you
is
guys
where we
give
should say
good names,
tweet.
we could put them in a random generator.
That's right. We could.
You could get one veto, maybe. If
Uh,
there's real dumb names.
okay.
Oh, man.
So, meanwhile, a panther runs the city, right? Or are you just a black cat?
I'm something in between a panther and a black cat.
Okay.
I'm kind of like a bobcat, I
Okay.
guess, right?
Scottish
Bobcat's in
cat.
between, right?
A pan cat.
Like the grace.
Well, no, like
A cather.
a real cat, but what's the one that's in between?
There's a
A
bunch
lynx.
that are in.
Lynx.
I mean,
Lynx.
lynx, bobcat, and
Lynx.
mountain lion are all
A lynx
the
or a
names for the same
bobcat that
thing,
size.
A
Like,
serval.
All right, so you're just a large. You're not
Ocelot.
trying to scare
I would
anyone
love
with
to
panther
have
size,
several
but you want to be
ears.
bigger
So
than
cute.
a cat.
I think Ocelot's good.
Is that
good
correct?
bet.
yes. See,
Liliana. Okay.
let's see. This is panther.
Uh huh.
This is what I am right now.
Uh huh.
And then this is like house cat. If you can even see that tiny
Can't.
little baby.
Okay.
See?
So you're.
See?
So you don't want to be big enough that that millipole gets called for animal services to
They're-
come
they're-
collar you and put you under.
Three
the-
sizes.
Right.
All right, so you follow the white owl for a long time. Basically, he moves you to the nearest gate, and you guys head out outside of the city. And after a little while, he's run you kind of to the north side of the city, and he lands in a tree. This white owl lands in a tree, and then you see him sort of rock back and forth on the tree, and then he flies out from the tree, swoops around, and flies directly at the trunk of the tree, and then right when he would normally hit the bark and be instantly slain by breaking his neck, instead he just sort of disappears into the tree.
I'll sit.
All right, after a few moments,
I mean, when he does-
Ornitholos pokes his head out of the tree and says, "Are you coming?"
Oh, hey. Okay.
And then he disappears back into the tree.
Seems like a very appropriate
I'll go,
Liliana thing to happen.
Yeah.
I'll go and sniff it. I'm still a panther too.
Yeah.
And then I'll.
Okay. So when you pass into the tree, you basically come out of another tree, like instantaneous. Like there's no length or depth to the tree that you walk through. Like as soon as your eyes break the plane of the bark, you're coming out into another glade somewhere. It's an area of the forest that you are not familiar with. There's a lot of old growth. The mountains are much closer. I mean, they're looming above you through the trees, and Ornitholos is standing there, sort of leaning on his staff, wearing his high robes of the Druid Holly Branch Order. His purple beard is just splayed out in front of him, like he's not doing anything to sort of keep it in check, like it's just sort of naturally just blowing in the wind and stuff.
I'll drop for him.
Okay, he greets you with the with the Druid greeting.
That's really confusing.
Hey, girl. Hey. Standard dwarven greeting.
Narcissus.
And he says that first, I must apologize for being absent so long. I have journeyed far and wide to find the solution to your issue. And I believe I have discovered it.
Which issue? There was a couple.
We've slept a lot since then.
You were
Yeah.
you
Quite
had
a
expressed to
number of
me
issues.
that you were exposed to chaos,
Okay.
and that you were afraid that it had taken hold, however slightly, somewhere in your
Yeah.
aura.
Haven't let it come out. Mm-mm.
There is not a way. If it has taken complete hold and is now growing within you, there is nothing I can do. If it has not yet taken hold, there is a way that I can make you forget what you saw.
Forget like how much? Just
That
the-
will depend on my success.
Oh.
This is an ancient ritual that has not been performed by our order for many hundreds of years,
Okay.
and is largely considered too dangerous. But I think, considering what is at stake,
Is there
we should make the attempt.
is there perhaps something I can do to help it go well? Because I'll take the risk, but
He offers you a drink.
what drink?
It's just some nectar or something in a cup.
Okay.
He says that drinking this will ease the process.
Okay. Do. Sorry. I will offer to enhance the ability.
Enhance ability.
Yes,
Okay.
because that gives, and he would understand what I'm talking about, even though I don't
Yeah.
particularly understand
Sure.
how to describe this. And
So basically, you're going to give him the wisdom of an
an
owl or
owl.
something like that.
Yeah, to I forget what else wisdom does, and
Okay.
it's not listed on the card.
All right. So he
237.
agrees and thanks you, and you cast the spell in order to enhance his ability to perform this ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Here we go. Advantage on wisdom checks.
Okay, advantage on wisdom checks. Good. That's actually going to help him greatly.
If that's going to be the most helpful.
Yep. No, that'll do it.
Cool.
That's gonna help him greatly. Okay. Before you go under, because just a few moments after you finish drinking the nectar, you start to feel extremely drowsy and very like things are starting to feel far away. He says to you before you lose consciousness that he says if this is successful, I will be here when you wake up, and if it is not, then I will see you in the next life.
Cool.
All right, so you pass it. All right, so go ahead and make a death saving throw.
Okay.
Okay,
Nice.
good. All right, so make another death saving throw with advantage.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. All right, so you wake up.
Good job.
You are laying on a bed of pine needles, moss, and grass, which is extremely comfortable, and it smells very good. There's incense burning at your feet. Ornitholos is tending a tiny campfire, and it looks like he has been preparing some food which it looks like he hunted himself. Like there's some actual pelts laying on a rock, and he's got like basically a stick over a campfire with a whole bunch of meat, just chunks of meat on it, and then like a bowl of berries and nuts that are mixed. And when you wake up, he comes over and says, offers you some food, and says, "This will help you regain your strength." Yeah. So you start eating. He gives you some clean water and some more of the nectar. But before you, like when you sniff it and you can tell it's the nectar from before, he's like, "This has not been prepared in the same way. It's regular nectar."
Okay.
Okay. So do you remember that spell that I gave you from the book? You need to give me that spell.
Cool.
You do not have that spell anymore. All right, so you don't try very hard, but you can't really remember. Like you remember finding a book on Ceres, and then after that, your memory sort of it gets really jumbled, and it's hard to concentrate, and it actually kind of hurts a little bit when you think about that time. So you just get a little, almost like someone took your regular memories and sort of snipped them into pieces and just threw them in front of you. So you're only seeing little bits here and there, and it's a little disjointed. And then your next clear memory is of being told that the book has been destroyed.
Okay.
That the book was burned, and there was nothing but blasphemy and chaos inside of it, and we should keep it a secret and not tell anyone that we ever even looked in that book. Okay? All right, so you eat and your fill, and Ornitholos eats with you. Like he just basically sits, cross-legged right next to you, and the two of you just share a nice, contemplative, quiet meal. He casts a couple spells over you, and you start to feel better, and you can feel your strength regaining quickly. And he looks at you and basically says, let me think about how he's going to word this. He says to you, you are more important than you know at this time, and your importance to us, and you get the impression that he means the entire Holly Branch, will be revealed in time, but not if you perish first. So I would caution you strongly to avoid any entanglements like that again.
Okay.
Chaos is nothing to be trifled with, and the druids have been battling it for millennia.
I know, but it is our job.
That is correct, but you are not yet strong enough to take on certain duties.
You're right.
And reading from one of their infernal tomes is unwise at your experience and age.
Okay. Thank you for fixing it.
We're not out of the woods yet, if you'll excuse the pun.
I don't want to be a downer, but I kind of found something else that was a little disturbing. No more books.
Well, that is maybe a blessing.
Have you seen, the stones that have the writing on them that we use in ceremonies and stuff? That I would know what they're called, right?
Do you mean runic stones?
Yeah.
Yes, I am aware of them.
Those runic stones, there's one in the swamps that's just wrong.
A runic stone?
Yeah.
Did you bring it?
No, it's the one of the big totems, and it has inscriptions on it that are just, they're not right.
What is amiss with these inscriptions?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was. Would I know how to explain?
Well, you know that it's that what you were looking at was a carving of the Tree of Life, the Elven Tree of Life, which is a holy symbol for druids, and that there was something wrong with it.
Like it was sick.
Well, no, like there was something different. Like, so outside of the game, you know when you find those pictures where you have to look at two pictures and circle all the differences?
Right.
Okay. So you could tell by looking at this carving that something was different, but you could not find the difference.
Gotcha.
Right? Because you didn't have another one with which to compare it or what have you. So you just knew, like you just instinctively knew when you looked at it, like
That was wrong.
here, that's not right. And it was on its side, like the stone is huge, right? And it was toppled over. It was big enough to climb on. And it was on its side, and so you were like kind of like you were moving your head around and trying to get different angles and trying to discern what was wrong with it.
Okay.
Okay,
So I explained that.
Okay,
It
so
was yay big and it was toppled and it was really just something was wrong with the way that the Tree of Life was pictured. Have you heard of anything out there?
He basically says he just has a look of concern on his face, but it's tinted with confusion. So finally he says, let me show you something. And he reaches out and touches your shoulder and mutters something, and you feel like energy going into you. And then all of a sudden you understand how to point at a rock and basically carve it into whatever you want. And then he looks over at a boulder that's about this big and he says, "Show me."
Okay. And I will recreate the picture
Okay.
of the scene.
Okay, so when you
I'll also explain where we were.
Okay, so you have a rough idea that you were several hours east of, or about half a day east of Arragas.
And I'll also explain that we were just inside red lizard folk territory.
Orange.
I thought they were red.
No, they were brown.
I thought they were brown.
Brown that faded away.
Yeah.
I did call them brown lizard folk, but I realized after I was looking at the models that I painted that there's more orange on them than brown, and so why would you call them brown lizard folk? They're orange lizard folk.
Okay.
I mean, they're called night scales.
No, the night scales. You never ran into any night scales.
Okay.
The night scales are worse.
Oh,
Those
those
guys-
were the nights.
Yeah, no, those weren't the night scales. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Ketra
Those
thinks
were
they were.
medium bad guys.
Yeah, I
In any
did.
case,
I didn't ask too
explained that
many
we had
questions.
passed from
I'm pretty sure
green
those were
into
night
brown
scales in my
lizard
mind.
territory.
Okay. Okay. So he thinks about it for a little bit while you're trying to sculpt the carving into the side of the rock, right? And since you haven't done this before, it's a little weird and it's hard, and you're trying to you keep starting over and like erasing little bits and
I
whatever.
accidentally take a chunk out of the rock and go, oh crap.
Anyway, so
And then I,
here, this
take
is
another
what he
second, put it
teaches you.
back.
Yeah, this is what he teaches you in order to. This will replace the infestation spell that you got from the book. Okay, so.
Which is why I say I accidentally take a section out and then I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, I
and
know,
put it
yeah.
back.
Yeah. All right, so you carve it, and basically when you finish, you have carved a druidic tree of an elven tree of life into the side of the stone. And Ornitholos looks at it and he sort of shakes his head and he says to you that appears correct. That is the tree of life. We all know it well.
Did I correctly do it just because I can't help but correctly do it?
Yeah, so you drew the tree of life, and all of the problems that you were coming along with was basically trying to make it wrong without knowing why it was wrong. So every time you made it wrong, you were like, no, that's not what I saw. And then you would erase it and draw it right, and then you would make something else wrong, and you were like, no, that's not what I saw. And so you just kept, doing, that's why it took you so long. Like, you were trying to figure out how it was incorrect, and you were not able to do so. He says, well, there are many old stone circles from our order. We have been around the longest of any sentient race.
I'm telling you though, this one wasn't right.
Well,
I don't know what was wrong with it. Because
what you are showing me is correct.
I think I just can't make it the same. I don't know if there was a spell on it. We were kind of in a hurry. We got attacked and stuff by lizardfolk.
I understand.
So I didn't have time to detect magic on it.
I understand. You.
Wow, Julie, that was a big old eye roll right there.
But I had to leave, so
Okay, so basically what he says is, it was probably, he explains to you that it was probably just one of the old, like one of the ancient circles that had, fell into disuse and toppled over, and there aren't any real branches that caretake the swamps as much, with the exception of oak, but they go out there in order to to sort of prune life so that it doesn't get too unwieldy. Maybe it was one of their circles from a long time ago.
but I would recognize the oak branches circles, wouldn't I?
Well, they're all the same. The Elven Circle of Life is the same everywhere. It's 12 branches that lead into 12 roots and come up through a tree, and all the branches and roots are sort of Celtic woven, right? It's the same everywhere, except for the one you found, which you can't tell what's wrong with it.
I tried to do a rubbing. It got burned.
Yeah, that was you don't. You
I
don't,
would
let,
cut
I
on
felt
fire.
like
you don't let people
wrong.
make facsimiles of your holy symbol.
Just start screaming.
That's not something you find that to be extremely distasteful. Okay, so
I will explain to him as best I can where it is. I will
Okay.
attempt to make a map in the dirt
okay,
and explain exactly where it is and
Okay.
tell him that I really feel like there was something off with that area. And I'll also tell him about Pappy McAllister.
okay.
We got this cat.
Mm-hmm.
A cursed cat.
I can't hear you. I feel like
It
there's
comes on
something
the
wrong
radio.
with him.
Cursed cat.
I sent you a message about him.
Yes, I received that message. So if he was a person who was morphed into a cat,
Cursed.
he is at this point forever a cat.
It's tough.
This is one of the reasons why our kind have learned that you cannot transform into an animal for lengthy periods. You begin to forget who you are and believe that you are the animal.
I feel as if this.
There is a threshold where that belief becomes permanent.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely permanent. But I don't understand how it happened. Because, I mean, no druid would do that.
No druid would, but there are others who understand life magic in a twisted way. The common folk refer to them as witches.
Yeah. But still, like, I feel like there was something done to him. I forget what exactly I saw. This is Julie talking.
Yeah.
But I think I did
Well-
something where I tried to, like...
You tried to talk to him as a cat, and he talked about the mean woman.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
talked about... that also coincided with some of the other miners telling you that the reason they call the cat Pappy McAllister is because he belonged to a miner named Pappy McAllister who disappeared 3-ish years ago and for whatever reason left his cat behind, and his cat was an ornery cuss, and so everybody just threw rocks at him and started calling him Pappy McAllister.
Is it
And
possible
little
for them
did
to
they
get, like,
know.
melded together? Or...
you do not know of any magic that would do something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
And Ornitholos does not either. He...
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are no strangers to transforming yourselves into animals, and you know that there is magic that can do it to others.
Well, I'm sure Ornitholos could do
So,
it.
but what Ornitholos is saying is that if he was magically turned, it's very probable now that he believes he's a cat so fully that changing him back to, if it's possible, changing him back to a human form wouldn't do anything except have a cat in a human body.
Okay. I mean, I'm treating him real nice. He gets to play with my nephew and stuff, so it's all good.
He gets to play with your nephew.
Mhm.
When did that happen? I thought he was hanging out at Sable Guard.
He is, but I take him over to my
Oh, I see.
sister's.
When you can get him into the
Maybe
Great.
we could.
the trap that you guys built.
What's the plus intelligence one? There's Owl's Wisdom. It's the-
Eagle or hawk, one of the two.
Eagle, I think.
Yeah, Eagle, Splendor. Is that intelligence? Is
Yeah.
that charisma? Well, whatever. We just permanentize that on him like a couple of times.
And just make him a really smart cat.
Make him
and
really
then
smart
change
cat,
him into
then
a
change
human.
him into a human. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's if you want to explore the options of restoring Pappy McAllister to his former self, you may do so.
He seems happy.
But Ornthalos
We're gonna make him happy.
has given you the not the answer you wanted, perhaps, but an answer.
Mm-hmm. We might never know. That's okay. I just wanted to check with you.
All right, so he basically said he looks up and it's been some time, lots of time has passed, and so he says, "We are in Twistroot, girl."
Okay. Do I know that?
Yeah, it's the huge forest north of Arragas.
Well,
just
yeah,
before
but I
mountains.
meant like how far from the city am I right now?
Far enough that the city's taints do not disturb this place.
I hate those
Thank
taints.
you, old tank.
There are
Yeah.
a lot of them.
They're the city and their stinky taint babies.
Save that stinky taint. baby.
All right, so he basically walks over to a tree.
Don't save the stinky tape, baby.
He tells you to take as much of the
Bit
food as
tartar.
you want, because whatever you don't take, he's just going to leave for the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And then he mutters something to himself, and he touches the tree that you popped through, and basically motions with his hand that you may go now.
Okay, can I go?
Okay, so you pop through the tree and pop out, basically right at the same tree where you left in the first place, and you can actually see the city, 10 minutes away, 5 minutes if you turn into cat form again and
I'll
run
probably walk
Okay.
and maybe play around with my new.
I was about to say, I can see Liliana being like, ooh, let me pick up this stuff.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing is that I can kind of go up to a stone building and do a little. Liliana was here.
You're going to tag the
or-
buildings?
Awesome.
Maybe? But it'll always be
Stone
hug
shape
a
still?
tree. It'll be like California sanctioned corner street art where it's all
Well, we'll see.
Nice
you
and
can probably
peaceful.
get some sort of license from Millipole for street art.
Or you could be like, who's that one famous guy?
I
who
think
does
it only
that?
lasts a little while.
Banksy.
But
you could be like the new Banksy of Arragas.
Okay, so back in Arragas, speaking of New Banksy and back in Arragas.
Nothing like tepid political commentary in my street art.
As you guys are following
it only lasts an
Vance,
hour.
who is following Kerga, he has caught up to Kerga, and the two of them are walking together. And you guys are following at what I will consider a reasonable distance. Do you want them to not discover that you're following them, or do you just not care if they notice you're following them?
I probably wouldn't hide it.
You would not hide it.
I probably would.
Okay, so you guys are not
I'll
trailing
hide
them, like you're not stealthing. And but they seem to be engrossed in their own conversation, and they're not really looking behind. They're not looking over their shoulder or anything. As you guys are going along, make perception check. All four of you make perception check.
How
Dang,
disappointing.
let's try this one.
I don't get.
Hooray!
Yeah,
I
no,
did okay.
You're still in the woods being fixed.
Oh no, I'm back in
18.
the city. I'm just walking to the guild hall. And
Yeah.
as I
It's your
pass
bag.
buildings every now and again, I'll drag my finger along the outside of the stone and it'll make little vines and stuff, and I'm getting better.
So you're just
at
like
it.
carving little vines and stuff into the stonework.
Well, it's
Oh,
not
turn the
carving. It's like
I-
it darkens into like a little pattern
Oh,
of
so it's like
vines and
pigments?
flowers.
Okay. I thought the spell
Okay,
actually
okay,
carve
everything
a
you
picture
roll,
whatever
of
you
something.
roll.
7 or under,
But
and
But
then
you're
I
shooting
did that,
into
and he
the
rolled an
picture
18.
thing is
Right.
just like
I was
for
like,
5
stop
feet,
it.
it'll like
That's,
make
that's
like
enough.
Okay.
little flowers.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
So what did we roll?
I got 17.
17. Good job.
18.
Okay.
11.
No.
24.
Okay. So
Okay.
Kethra, you notice, and perhaps
Now
it's-
I'm really
perhaps-
paying attention.
Yeah, perhaps rightly so. It should be you that notices. You can see standing off to the side of the street because you're looking around to see because this is a new area of Arragas, and you're like, oh, I've been here before, and oh look, there's a siren's call, and oh look, there's a whatever. You see Sambanji standing. Kind of not in an alleyway, but he's standing at the mouth of an alleyway, and he is very clearly just watching the four of you walk. Like he's just leaning on his staff, and he's just white face paint with the red line and the black splay.
You should pull out the things.
Yeah, he's standing in his gold and green robe. I don't even know if that's gonna pick it up. He's not holding his hand out to you like that.
That would be really creepy.
But you do see him standing over, and he seems to, in that nonverbal way that people can sometimes talk, he seems to beckon you over. Like he looks at you and he's all.
No, that's
Just kidding. He
delightful.
doesn't do that.
No, okay. That's only kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, hey guys, nobody look, okay? Everybody act really normal and just keep walking forward. But do you see that guy over there with the mask? I mean, don't look, but look, right?
Okay, so everyone who wants to
So-
subtly look, make perception at disadvantage.
Okay.
Did she say to subtly look?
I did say.
Yeah, she said
suddenly
don't.
look.
She said look, but don't look.
Oh.
Don't look like you're looking.
5.
Oh, now I rolled a 19 on that one.
Okay.
Oh, disadvantage.
You rolled a 19 with disadvantage.
On that
Awesome.
one.
Oh, okay. What'd you roll for real?
8.
Okay.
I got an 8 as well.
Okay.
My other roll
So
was
you
16.
guys kind of, not so subtly. You do some stretches, and you're like, right, and you don't see anybody standing in a mask.
I don't see.
Okay, shh.
If you want to just look
Arthur.
without being subtle, roll perception.
I'm gonna walk around like openly gawking at different things.
Guys!
I don't see it. What are we
14.
looking for?
Or 16.
Okay.
I did it.
I got 17 without.
all of you
Okay,
are the
so
worst.
when you guys all start looking around, you eventually all of your eyes come to rest on a man standing at the mouth of an alley.
I see him. He's right
Yeah.
there. Let's talk about that guy.
Yeah, you probably as soon
Okay,
as you actually
okay,
see him, you
guys.
would probably stop pointing at him
Oh.
because you would immediately
You would know.
recognize
You would
him
know
as a
what he
Bedu
was.
seeker. You would know immediately from the face
Okay.
paint. So you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Like
You would
you
know
mean
that this
guy
guy
with
is
the Bedu
bad
seeker?
news.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll have the two of you make history checks to see if you understand what a Bedu Seeker is. But in the meantime, I'll explain. He's wearing the white face paint with a red line down the center and black splays that come off of his eyes. He is leaning against a large staff, and he's wearing gold, like kind of yellowy gold robes with green sort of tinges and accents. He's carrying a scroll case, like sort of tucked into his belt, his sash, and he appears to be also have a small dagger in there as well.
22.
Okay, so you're like when you see the face paint, you're like, hey, Bedu Seekers wear face paint like that.
14.
Okay, yeah, you guys know. Like basically, your blood runs cold as soon as you look at him, especially those of you who read from the book. Because you're like, oh, and probably each of you who read from the book are individually thinking like, oh shit, he's here for me. Like he knows.
So
Okay.
you've gotten in bed with some chaos
Can we
hunters. Seems.
Talk a little softer about
Yeah.
it.
So do you guys keep walking or do you stop?
I'm gonna keep
Keep
walking
walking,
right with
yeah.
the group, but I'm gonna tell people, like, basically I'm gonna say as quickly as possible. So don't freak out, guys. There's not a huge problem. I've got this all covered, but there might be a slight investigation going on. I'm just gonna go see what he wants.
Is
I've
this
got it
because we were
covered.
covered in chaos and ichor
They-
for extended periods of time?
Yes. Let's just say I don't want to.
I can see how
we
that
should
would be
probably
concerning.
talk about this somewhere else, but no one really knows anything.
I do think I actually swallowed a little
I'm
bit
trying to
inadvertently.
keep it that way. So I'm gonna go talk to this guy real quick.
My bowels
So-
haven't been right since.
Chaos-tainted creatures do not taste very good.
So I'm gonna go.
All right, so
talk
you
to
cross-
this guy,
you
especially
cross
so
the
he doesn't
street.
get too close to any of you
It's
guys.
close
Okay,
quarters.
so you
not
cross
close.
the street.
So then I scoot up.
The rest of you, are you gonna wait for Kethra, or are you gonna continue nonchalantly following Vance and Kerga?
That one.
Yeah. Vance Kerga.
Okay.
She
I'll-
said she
I'll
had
wait.
it handled.
Okay.
I got it.
All right. So the two.
I got, guys, I got
Yeah.
this.
I'm gonna
I got
wait
this.
because every time
I got
I
this.
don't,
That's interesting.
people get attacked in the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm the only one there.
No, you
Okay.
just go.
So
'Cause
you
if
guys,
you're
okay. So
close to
you
you-
walk up to Sambanji,
I'm
and
gonna
he does, and you wait across the street,
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll find
and the two of you continue walking. When you get to Sambanji, he nods and says,
Okay,
It is
first I want
agreeable
to
to
point
see
out
you
that
again, Kethra.
before I see him, I
Uh-huh.
have emotionally prepared myself
Okay.
to like be ready to face him.
so
this
basically
time.
just your lower lip is quivering
Like, I am
instead of your
like-
whole body.
Right? No, I'm like steel. I got this. I got this time. Yeah.
Okay, you walk up to him and he says he greets you. It is good to see you again, Kethra. Sogard.
It is good to see you as well. What are you doing in this part of town?
Hunting.
How's that going?
I am not currently at liberty to say.
So okay, cool.
Are those your friends?
Mm-hmm. Yes. They are my friends.
He just sort of scrutinizes you,
Oh,
and
wait.
you get the impression that he's waiting for you to tell him whether or not they were also exposed to chaos. I mean, he's just leaning on his staff, just looking at you.
Yeah, those are my buddies. They were there with me at Watanga.
He shifts his staff over to his other hand, and you notice that his staff is made from the dark elm. You remember the dark elm that Baron Vortigern's cane was made from? It's very expensive. And he just had like a little cane of it.
Liliana wants to see this.
Sambanji is leaning on a whole staff of it, and you also recognize now that it is actually studded with moonstone. The whole length of it has moonstones just like embedded into the wood all around it. Some of them are bright white, some of them are yellowy, some of them are almost brown.
That's a really cool staff you've got there.
It
Like,
is
handle.
the weapon of choice for my order.
So, can I ask a question then?
You may ask me a question. Yes.
So Moonstone actually does protect against chaos, right?
It has repellent properties.
So does it like absorb the chaos, or it's like a magnet? Or do magnets not exist in this world?
I believe you called them lodestones.
They're lodestone.
He explains to you that chaos is, in some respects, acts like an infection, and that when you are near enough to creatures that are powerful, like powerful chaos creatures, they can actually exude chaos into the surrounding environment. Moonstone soaks that up. So while you have Moonstone near you, you are less likely to just get infected by chaos, but it's not a deterrent. If a powerful chaos creature decides that you're going to get infected with chaos, you have to kill it before it does so. having moonstones on your body just protects you from environmental, sort of like radiation suits.
Okay.
Think of it like a radiation
Okay.
suit. Okay. He sort of tells you all that, and then he squints at you, and he says, if our numbers are constantly diminishing, if you are interested in joining our order, your knowledge and experience would make the initiation process shorter.
I mean, yeah, I'd be really interested in joining the order. Because you guys purge it, right? You can purge the chaos,
We can.
and you can like fix things that were previously chaos, right? And make them no longer chaotic.
That answer is more complicated than we have time for. And in addition, that is sacred knowledge that is given only to certain levels of
Okay.
membership within
Okay.
our order.
Okay. Well, I'd really like to learn that stuff.
So no. That's what he's telling me.
Yeah. For the most part,
Bring them to the tree.
once chaos has taken hold, the only true purification is death. And we mercifully grant that before the chaos turns its victim into something that they would never wish to be, even in their worst nightmares.
Well, that sounds awful.
It is. But it gladdens my heart to know that we perhaps have a new ally and maybe a future initiate of the Bedu order.
I'd really like to learn more about it.
Visit our temple. It is located in, this area of the city. Blah blah blah. Right? He gives you the address.
Yeah.
He says, your friends appear to be clean.
Right.
That is a credit to you.
Oh, good. I mean, I was just a little worried that,
As
you
you
talked
should
about
be.
environment, and I was worried that maybe some of that environmental
As
stuff
you should be.
got in there.
Oh, it got in there.
I am.
It just didn't do it again.
I am continually impressed with your aptitude at battling chaos. I look forward to training your potential into something more akin to a weapon.
Well, Ara's led me down this path, so.
We all serve the gods. All of us. Ara can be your strength.
Well, I'm still really nervous around you. I'm going to be really honest. Just
He didn't laugh. I laughed. That's Sean laughing. He
still
didn't
make me like, I appreciate the compliments.
laugh.
Just still kind of, when should I show up for my, just anytime? I just walk in and say hi?
Whenever you are ready.
Is there a handshake?
There is not a handshake. Everyone in my order already knows your name.
Oh, okay.
Just to be clear, the investigation is not concluded. It is not concluded.
You're right. There's still a lot of people in Watanga who could have been infected.
We have already dispatched our agents there.
Okay, good.
It has been made more difficult with the evacuation of Watanga back to Arragas and the loss of Fort Prescio. Lots of people are going through Fort Murdo, the loss of Fort Murdo. Lots of people now are stationed at Prescio, military men and women who have their own issues to deal with. But that is perhaps a discussion for another time as well. I see your friends are beginning to get away from you. You and... Which one is that?
That's Arister.
You and Arister should probably go.
He's a paladin.
I
He's
can
actually a little arrogant, but not bad.
Paladins of Givney have a great burden to bear. and it takes someone with above average strength and confidence to carry that weight for the rest of us. Please extend my salutations to him.
I will.
And just without a goodbye or anything, he just starts walking away from you. He just turns and begins striding off.
Okay, and I turn around and I let out the biggest sigh of relief
Yeah.
because again I thought I was ready and I was not prepared.
Yeah. Okay, so you cut back across the street to Arister. One thing that I kind of messed up with my narration. So he said the loss of Fort Murdo. Yesterday, they were telling everyone when they told him, or not yesterday, the day before, they told him, we're sending people to Fort Murdo to break the siege, the goblin siege, and some people have to stay behind. Some people have to stay behind. So for you, that would be news. Yeah, so he's what Sambanji said was the loss of Fort Murdo. So that could mean that Murdo has fallen to the goblins.
Okay. So when I get up,
And he did say that there were more Millipole people now stationed at Fort Prescio, and that everyone at Prescio had been evacuated to the city. So now you've confirmed that between Tresner and now Sambanji, everyone who is not Millipole is in Arragas now. So that means Grimgrom, Bellasalter, the two people who owned the Embers, the concierge at the guild hall, like everyone who is not Millipole has been moved out. So mining has stopped and whatever else. Everything's stopped. Fort Prescio is a fort now, not a mining complex.
okay, well,
And you would know that
Okay,
Arister's friend
Arister,
was stationed
right.
at Murdo.
So when I walk up to Arister, the first thing I'd say is, "Hey, so when you see one of those guys, I'm sure you know who that is. Just don't get too close, right? Just make sure that you're like this certain distance away.
What? Why?
Because when you're a certain distance away, it seems like they don't see anything. So that's good.
What would there be
Yeah.
to see?
But just whenever you see one of those guys, don't get too close. But point two,
Okay. Seems odd.
I have important news. Stop talking.
Oh.
Point two. And I would convey that Fort. I don't remember the names. Fort
Murdo, Prescio is the one. So
Fort
just
Murdo
think
has fallen.
Fort
Prescio
Murdo
like
has
precious.
fallen.
Yeah, Prescio like precious.
He told me that Fort Murdo has fallen.
Yeah,
And that now they've set up camp in
Prescio.
Fort Prescio.
I'm discomfited by this news.
Yeah, because
Greatly discomfited.
your buddy was moved to Murdo. Restus Lacrasse was restationed at Murdo while you guys were still in Watanga Station, as a matter of fact.
He's extremely fleet, though.
Yeah.
So
He's
could
good.
definitely run away.
He survived at least as many battles as you have.
That's true.
So it all may not be lost. But what that does mean is that, for example, Grimgrom is probably in Arragas somewhere.
Well, I think probably the best place to check is the
As Frost Braids, yeah, is the Nihine. All right.
Dwarf bar.
So you guys head over. You guys eventually gather up and head over towards Frost Braids, and while you are on your way, you guys actually see. Oh wait, are you still cat form, or did you just walk into Arragas? You just walked right.
I'm literally just like going down the street.
Okay.
So
You guys spot Liliana
skipping down.
graffitiing,
Hey.
for lack of a better term, a wall of one of the buildings where she's just sort of running her hand over it, and you see like these flowery sort of vine
I'll go up there.
sort of patterns just appear in the stonework, and she's walking and kind of giggling about
Leon,
it.
are you defacing city property?
That's so cool.
It's temporary.
It looks nice.
Please do not
That's
deface
really
city
cool.
property.
Stop it! I'm practicing. It's temporary.
We are going to get arrested for defacing city
No,
property.
it's beautiful. Stop. What's
That's
up?
really cool.
How you doing?
It's neat. Have you always been?
If I get reprimanded because I allowed you to deface city property,
Oh, stop.
I will
No,
be very
it's new.
put out.
It's new.
That would be very put out.
really neat. That's really cool, Liliana.
Yeah, I can also like do this, and I look at the ground as long as like nobody's right there, and I take 5 feet of stone and dirt, and like take it and lift it and move it to the side, and like place it right there in a little pile. And
She just created a pothole. You told her to stop to face the door. She's like, watch this.
and as soon as you start to
Throw that
come,
back
whoa,
in.
wait, and I put it all back, and it's like it never happened.
Did you figure out what was wrong with your rock and your tree picture?
Not exactly.
Because that seemed to be very distracting, and I had a large dinosaur-shaped problem that I needed your help with at some point. So, if you could resolve
Don't call her a problem.
your rock issue,
She seems to have a lot of
that would be
really
excellent.
Ornithos like helped me kind of like get rid of the last remnants of the
Mm-hmm.
yeah
Mm-hmm.
yeah that.
Don't
The
say
chaos
that out loud.
infection.
Don't say that out loud.
The
His charisma might
I
have gone up,
see.
but his wisdom did not.
Right.
I just don't feel the need to hide her.
You should because
We're 15 feet from a better
infectious
secret.
idea of that.
Then there's a
stuff.
better secret.
You know, a what?
she didn't actually see him.
A what?
There's we're kind of we'll talk about this later.
The
Make a
Chaos
perception check.
Hunters.
But we're kind of being investigated by
Natural one.
Natural one. All right, so you look around for a Bedu seeker and you don't find anybody.
We're being investigated.
You do point at an old woman briefly, but she's just wearing too much makeup.
But I think I handled it. I
If
think
any
I
of them
got
have an issue with me, then I would be glad to show them one end of my sword.
Well,
it. That's obviously not the
The
answer.
hilt end, so they can grab it and use it to kill me.
see,
I don't want to die
I
infected
will
with
die.
chaos. That's horrible.
The thing with the stone thing is, like, I tried. He gave me this cool ability. So
She
that I
puts
could
all your
show-
faces onto the side of a building.
Sure.
But it's
so
like
that
little
I
kid
could
drawings.
recount, what we saw
Like
and
chitties.
everything, and for some reason, like, I can't remember what was wrong with it exactly. I just know it wasn't right.
It was a curse in
So-
some fashion.
I don't know. I really should have cast detect magic and had you detect evil, but that's okay.
It was probably cursed. There are a lot of cursed things that
I
I've
don't think
noticed.
it was
Cursed
cursed.
coins, cursed giant rocks.
Oh, did you guys find out about the coin?
It is dwarven and old,
Oh,
and apparently potentially accursed.
And really important to Kerga.
oh.
Like, he wanted to buy it right away. But it made us all nervous how excited he was to buy it.
I'm like, what do you want with it?
I don't... That's...
They're not being straight with us.
Yeah.
He said it
About
had
the
racial.
map. And
It had racial sentimental value.
He said it had racial sentimental value. I have a voice, an inner voice that just told me that.
I don't know.
I found it to be.
I bet it has something to do with his map. Maybe he's looking for
Unconvincing.
treasure.
That's my theory.
Oh!
Is that he is looking for treasure, and, this is part of it.
one
I
of
bet
them.
he's
So
looking for
yeah,
like
so
lost
go ahead and
Maybe
go ahead
they were
and
like
now
pirate
everybody
dwarves.
make a history check.
history.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Gee, 17.
Do I have that one? I do have that one.
Extra dumb.
Ah, it's not.
Extra dumb.
The only thing I know about dwarves is how to speak the language, apparently.
Yeah.
7.
Okay, so now that Liliana
16.
and Arister are having this discussion, it dawns on you that with any war that would last 900 years, there are bound to be lost artifacts from both sides that would be important to those peoples.
Okay.
And so, yes, he may be looking for treasure, and yes, they would be have racial sentimental value, because if they are actual artifacts from their history, it'd be like finding a chunk of the Titanic on the beach somewhere. Mm-hmm. People will pay you a lot of money for that chunk of the Titanic. Otherwise, it's just a side of a boat to you, like that kind of thing. So
Maybe we
it's-
shouldn't identify the coin, but instead identify. What's
Yeah.
that guy's name?
And remember that
He has
was
a map.
Numismatist. What's that guy's name? What's the name on it?
Neurasius.
Neurasius.
Okay,
It's close.
so, and you guys do remember that Vance warned you specifically against trying to spend that coin around dwarves.
They will
So-
all notice.
They will notice, yeah. They will, especially if the person you're spending it to is a dwarf.
I've
But
got
just
somebody I can
flip it.
ask.
Yeah, it's like so you're just like trying to draw.
Just ask.
No,
As
I'm
an
not
elf,
gonna do
you're
that.
trying
I'm
to draw.
about
wondering what the
Naked
etiquette
dwarf.
is here.
I feel like that may not be the best
Yeah.
course
Okay.
of action.
We should probably find some sort of dwarven library
I don't know.
or person
I don't know,
who
that sounds like a
knows
lot of work.
about dwarven library.
They don't strike me as
I
people
could
with a
just
lot of
ask a
bookshelves.
friend.
Hmm.
I've got
Fair
dwarf
enough.
friends. Friend.
Friend, I have a dwarf nephew,
Well, we have yet to speak with
He's
Dorga.
Also got
Dorga and
Dwarven
Grimgrom,
Grimgrom.
and you've already talked to Kerga, and he gave you he wanted to know where you got it, gave you a little bit of information, and then offered to buy it off of you, and became pissed off when you refused for no good reason,
There's that,
as far as he's concerned.
There's good reason,
Yeah,
just not one for him.
yeah.
there's that one guy who I created that is my dad's friend, and I can't remember his name.
It should be written on your on one of
But
your
he's a
character
blacksmith.
sheets.
Well, regardless,
He might know.
We had to bar.
Okay, so as you guys approach the bar, you guys can actually see it. It's an easily recognizable building because it's not right. Like it's
Yeah,
only
it's a nub.
it's 2 feet high off of the ground for the span of the entire building.
What's like on top of the roof?
It's just like a very flat. It's ridiculously. There's almost no grade to it at all.
I step on the roof.
So you could do that. Yeah.
I walk around.
Um,
the top of the roof.
Stop that!
Okay,
That's really
so the
disrespectful.
dwarven, the dwarven,
You're never gonna get in here.
Yeah, the
I'm not
dwarven
here. I
bouncers
hide.
at the door
I hide.
watch you
I
walk
hide.
across the roof, and they get visibly angry with you, but they don't say anything.
Go into stealth.
You get the impression
I
that you're not
say
the
that
first
with
person
her.
to
Going
make this
invisible.
joke or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, you're already invisible.
Making
You would
sure
have gone invisible.
Okay,
excellent
yeah,
dwarven
yeah.
craftsmanship.
All right, so yeah, Kethra, you're horrified because this is basically why, like, people like him coined the term knee high, right? Like he's like, oh, look at this! I'm walking on the roof of the dwarven place. All right,
Being a
so
real Chad, Eris.
you're being a real. You're
There's
acting
no
like a real
signs that
Chibari
say
right
stay
now.
off roof of dwarf house.
All right, so the dwarven
Clearly,
bouncers,
if they didn't want
are-
anyone on there, they would have a sign.
or they would just let you walk across it because
Eris,
it's
please
made out of
stop.
stone and you're not going to fall through or anything.
Eris,
I know.
just stop.
That's right.
Just stop.
Yeah. All right. So you just walk around on the rooftop.
I approach the dwarven bouncers.
They discern you.
I go past them into the
No,
bar.
you do not. No, you do not. I mean, you can attempt to make a roll if you want to just muscle past them.
No. I will approach them and
Okay.
say, "Hail, dwarves."
All right, and you speak Dwarven, right?
Yes.
So one of them says to the other one in Dwarven, "This guy insults us and then thinks he's gonna just get in here."
Yes, exactly. I
You say
respond
that.
in dwarven.
You say that in Dwarven. He's like, "Oh, you speak our language. Well, that's a step up."
I'd say just because you speak
So
Dwarven
is the
doesn't
building.
mean you can be a dick.
Do you
So
are you
is
saying that in Dwarven?
Yes.
So's
All
the
right.
building.
So
step up.
the
Get
the
it?
two dwarves, yeah. So
The building is a step
the
up?
first dwarf looks at her
For me,
and
'cause you're
visibly gets angry. The second dwarf is listening to you and visibly getting angrier.
Guys, I don't think this is going really well.
I wait for any opportunity to get past them.
Okay. All right. So
They
you
better not see
guys.
you. Oh my god.
Well, he's invisible.
Ah.
I'm
He's invisible.
so they don't get a check or anything?
Well, I mean,
Okay.
if they're looking for
Right.
footprints or
But
something,
they're
or if he
busy.
makes any noise,
They're busy yelling at
yeah,
these
they're
things,
busy
yeah.
basically
Okay.
watching the three of you,
Okay.
or the four of you, not you, but 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
All right. well, be
all right,
long
so
enough to get extremely drunk.
The one of the doormen looks back at you and says, "Do you have mates in here?
Yes, a few.
Who?
Kerga.
Fine." He turns to the other guy and kind of nods, and you see the dwarf get up and walk down the stairs to go into the knee high. Are you going to follow him?
Yeah.
Into the knee high? All
I-
right.
I'll go-
I'll go
Roll your
follow
stealth
him.
check. Roll your stealth check to avoid
Can
making
I
any noise.
follow him?
No.
Are you...
Can you even
Do
fit
we
through
get
the
do I
door?
get
and
advantage since I'm invisible?
No. You just you're walking right behind him because you're going to try to slip into the door as he slips in the door, and he's smaller than you.
Is there a reason why I can't go down there?
Yes.
He's going to get.
Yeah, this is
check to
this
see
is
if
a
you're
club
allowed
for
in.
people who are friends to dwarves, not people who disrespect dwarves.
Right.
11.
I didn't
All
realize dwarven emotions were that sensitive.
Okay, so they run as deep as the mountain's roots.
I see.
All right, so you get inside, and you see that the room has probably 15 to 20 dwarves of varying professions and economic strata in here. They are all, in their way, it's a boisterous room, even though it's almost completely quiet, right?
Okay.
Because they're laughing to each other and they're talking with each other, but they're not all like shouting and they're not humans, right? They don't throw stuff around and get so drunk they spill their shit on the floor. But they are enjoying good meal, good drinks, and they're all huddled and talking. And it's almost conspiratorial the way that dwarves talk with each other. I mean, they get close and they hunch over and they lean in and blah 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 blah. You look around and you don't see Kerga or Vance in here. But you also notice that the doorman goes over to a set of stairs that apparently lead further down into the bar.
Okay.
So you follow him and you get down to a lower level, and basically this lower level has about the same smattering, 15 to 20 persons enjoying drinks and meal. The kitchens are actually down here, right off of the basement 2 level. So it's hotter down here. There's more heat coming out. And after just a quick glance, you see the doorman making his way over to a table, and Vance and Kerga are sitting right there over at a tankard of beer, and they're talking. Okay. So do you follow them? Do you follow over?
Yes.
All right. So
That's
as you approach, make a perception check. And I think you're an elf, so you get a perception is a proficient one for you. So go ahead and make a perception check.
19.
Okay.
Nice.
Very good. All right. So as you guys approach, you overhear Vance saying, "They're good employees, and we can trust them. They could have left us high and dry, and they didn't." And Kerga says, "Just because they cleaned up their own mess doesn't mean we can trust them with this." And Vance leans forward and says, "I'm not asking you to trust them. I'm asking you to trust me."
Oh, that
Did they stare longingly
And
at each other?
then at that moment, they look over and see the doorman, and so then they stop talking, and the doorman goes over and he's like, in Dwarven, "Oh, you don't understand Dwarven." So he says, "Kerga." And Kerga's like, and you see him sit there for a second.
I get the gist of the conversation.
Yeah, you see him sit there for a second, and he looks at Vance, and Vance and Kerga turns to the doorman and says, "Nai, Nidahe." And the doorman nods and turns around and walks back out. Are you going to follow him out?
That sounded like a no. Did it sound like a no to anybody else?
No, I'll. Well. Oh God.
Are you going to follow him back out, or are you going to stay in the bar? Because you probably have a good half hour of invisibility left, but you have no idea when the next opportunity to leave will be.
Yeah.
And you probably don't want to just
I
materialize
think
in
an
the middle
elf
of a dwarf
materializing
bar.
in this bar will be dead in like.
Hey, wait. Don't you have?
Well, I have some tricks up my sleeve, so I'll stay.
Okay, all right. So you stay downstairs in the bar. All right. After the time it would take to fell a medium-sized tree.
Okay.
This time-telling thing is terrible. All right. After a few minutes, the doorman comes back out and says, in common, Kerga doesn't want to be disturbed right now. Meet up with him somewhere else.
I told you.
So I can't just go down there and have a drink?
No. You need to know someone to get into this place.
By the way, I've been whisper lecturing Arister the entire time, but he's been inside.
This seems racially motivated.
You think?
They look at Liliana and then they look back at you and they say, no, it's not.
I would just like to point out that Liliana is lecturing you on social cues.
Yeah.
Does Makari say that out loud?
I just find this
Please tell
situation to be
me
highly
about
unjust.
All right, so you hear a voice from behind you guys and says, "What's going on here?" And you turn around and Grim Grom is standing there in the street.
Hey.
And he looks at you guys and then looks at the doorman and the bouncers and says in Dwarven, "What's the problem?" And they're like, "These guys are trying to get in here and they don't know anyone." And Grim Grom says, "They know me."
I always like Grim Grom.
And then he looks back at you guys and he's like, "Hey, I'm thirsty and I need a drink." And they don't sell any tiny tacos in this godforsaken city.
Damn them.
Is the beer as good as your beer, though?
I know real good places to.
And then he looks at the bouncers and he's like, "It's all right."
I know good places for food, but yours good for a drink. Let's go.
Grim Grom, I am going to get you highly intoxicated this evening.
He says, "Yeah." So he walks over to the bouncers, and the bouncers are just giving him daggers for stares. Right? They're just looking at him.
Prepare what liver you have left,
And
sir.
do you have any leeks to put in a stew? All right. So they sort of stare at each other, and you get this idea that there's a contest of wills going on. And then, but Grim just doesn't budge, right? He's just standing there, and then they begrudgingly get out of the way, and you guys start going down the stairs. And then when you get about halfway down the stairs, so you're just like you're not visible from the street, but you're not at the door yet. Grim Grom turns around to you and says, "Best to keep a low profile in here."
Yeah, you need to kind of have I'd say this very quietly in Dwarvish. You need to have a chat with Arister about politeness around dwarves. He kind of
Arister?
offended everybody.
Well, too many dwarves get offended these days. I like Arister. He's a straight shooter.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll have a word with him if he does anything out of line.
Okay, cool.
All right, so you guys
listening.
step into the Frost Braids. When you guys come into the Frost Braids, it's sort of like Norm from Cheers. Like, Grom comes in, and people actually recognize, like some of the dwarves in the room actually recognize him. And the dwarf behind the bar shouts out, "Grom! Oh my god, Grom! Bless Morden!" Oh, and he comes trotting out, and him and Grom embrace like brothers, right? They hug, and they start talking. They just start jabbering away in Dwarvish to each other in Dwarven, right? And he's like, "How's the bar at Watonga?" And he's like, "Oh, it's working. It's making me, I'm putting away a ton of gold, but with all this business from the mountains and they start talking." And he says, "I've been evacuated, and I only had time to bring a couple chests with me. And where's a good place to eat here? I mean, you have good food, but this is all sort of snack stuff. I need nourishment. And Frostbraid. So when he says Grom, the other guy says Grim Grom says Frostbraid, right? And so Frostbraid is like, "Oh, I'd heard about the siege of Murdo, but I didn't know what's going on." And Grim Grom takes a sip of the big ale, and he gets a stern look on his face, and he says, "No, Murdo's gone. Murdo fell, and the survivors from Fort Murdo are now stationed at Watonga, along with all of the reinforcements from Arragas. And he says, I haven't seen this many goblins in 100 years. They're swarming like flies all over the mountains, and they've got some sort of a leader there who is managed to keep them in line long enough to point them in a direction for destruction."
Liliana's horrified because she didn't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's gonna offer to buy a round of drinks and ask him, please tell us all about what happened, and ask about, like the people there. I can't remember their names.
Kitty is
like
very
the-
upset about this news too.
Yeah,
What about rest of
that's Peppy
Seal Eye?
McAllister.
Did you see him?
Peppy McAllister. Did you ask Grimgrom?
Yeah.
Grimgrom says that he was evacuated before Murdo fell.
Excellent news.
So he didn't see whoever made it out of Murdo. He was gone before they made it to Prescio.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you say
But then he sort of pats you on the shoulder, and he's like, "I'm sure it's all right. I'm sure it's all right." All right. So you guys get a drink, and
How
you
much is around?
you sit down. We're gonna call it. We'll call it 5 silver falcons for the table.
Okay, I'll give a gold.
Okay.
Some gold.
All right. So Frostbraid is very accommodating.
To buy snacks too, I mean.
Yeah, Frostbraid is very accommodating, and you guys can actually see that because you're sitting at a table with Grim Grom, like the other dwarves are okay with you, right? Like they're just like, oh, okay, they're having drinks with Grom.
We got
There we
crowd.
go. Yeah.
Grom, last time I had a drink, I earned the nickname Bloody Arister. Several men died that night.
Well, let's keep it from happening here. This is the best dwarven place in the whole city, and I would hate to lose my drinking privileges.
Excellent. I would prefer that
Bye-bye,
not
Mary
happen
Rush.
either.
Can I
But
order
if
you
it
something
does,
other than what you have in front of
make
you? Or
sure to restrain me.
oh, sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, sure. No problem. All right, so you guys speak with Grom at length, and you're basically sitting in the bar, but you guys don't see Vance or Kerga anywhere. All right, so down with Vance and Kerga, after the bouncer leaves, they both sort of sit there quietly and sip their beers, and the Vance asks Kerga if he thinks the coin is real, and Kerga says there's no doubt. There's no doubt that it's from the stash, and if we can locate more coins, it may give us enough clues to find it, and we might be able to restore some honor to the dwarven people. And Vance laughs at that and says, yep, gold can buy all kinds of things, including honor. And Kerga smiles, but he doesn't like. You get the impression that he is not sharing in the joke.
Okay.
But you do see Kerga pull out a small belt pouch from inside of his shirt, like it's tucked away. And when he opens it up, he dumps out 7 other coins that are identical to the one that you have. And he says, this is now the 8th one that I found in the city. So somebody already knows where the stash is. And they both stare at the coins for a few minutes, and then Kerga packs them away because he realizes that other people might be watching or whatever, and he tucks them away.
Okay.
Um,
I start making my way back up if time.
okay, so you get upstairs, and everyone upstairs. The mood has changed. The mood has changed since you came through. Right, people are more boisterous in the dwarven respect. There's also a pig running around, like a big old pig running around, and the pig has a collar and a little badge on the collar, but you can't really read it in the darkness. But there's a dwarven butcher behind the bar, standing over by the barman who's behind the bar, and he's every once in a while, like when he's cutting up carrots and stuff, like he'll throw the carrot tops over to the pig, and the pig just like cleans them up, and he's like, "There's a good boy. I swear he'll eat anything. That pig of mine."
It's a scraps master.
Okay, so but you do also see not necessarily your old friend, but sort of your on again, off again employer, Grimgrom, after paying for his damages and everything, you did make some money in his bar, and he is sitting with the 4 of your guildmates.
I'll make my way over there
Okay?
and
We gonna
Just run away.
drop invisibility or?
There we go outside and then come back.
There is a chair that's spare for you.
You
Yeah.
could go outside though and then come back in so that an elf doesn't suddenly appear in the middle of
You would know that going outside would mean that you would not be able to come back in.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well,
it's not my problem.
You were
I can't
present for
count.
the...
I
Yeah,
can't count their elves.
you were present
We
for the
all
whole
look the
bouncer
same, right?
discussion. Yeah. All right, so you just sit down and rematerialize?
Yeah, as soon as I can, as long as I can ensure
Do you wanna
there
go?
aren't a lot of eyes on me.
Okay,
Yes.
roll an intelligence check.
does stealth materialize? What is that?
Eyeballs first.
I stealthily appear.
Oh, I might throw a chicken wing or whatever we've got here at the table across the room, make like a little
Distraction.
distraction.
Okay, roll intelligence.
I'm gonna roll perception.
7.
Why do you want to roll perception?
Because he's like standing next to the table trying to like throw chicken wings.
Well, he hasn't
and
thrown a chicken.
Well,
wing
no,
yet.
you see it like
I was wondering if I knew he was standing there trying to like reappear.
Well,
I
you...
just always assume he's standing there trying to reappear.
Yeah, so what did you roll on your intelligence check?
7.
7. All right. So you walk over to the bathroom door,
Okay.
and you go inside, and as soon as the door closes, you turn visible, and then get ready to walk back out, right? Because you're just coming out of the bathrooms or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
you look over, and there is a dwarf standing there, like washing his hands, and he's just staring at you, and you're like, "Hey," and then you just go. You walk out. You guys all see Vesper come out of the bathroom, and he walks over and sits down like he was invited. And Grimgrom is like, "How long you been in there?"
Oh wow.
Yeah, obviously we've been here like 20 minutes now. I didn't even see you come in.
My
He takes hand washing very seriously.
you're right.
Oh, Vesper!
That is true.
Vesper! I learned a new thing. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
She learned how to deface public property.
Temporarily.
Temporarily deface public property,
Okay.
which is a distinctive
What
crime.
are the tables
Sounds
made
like
out
something
of?
I don't want to be involved.
Wood and
in.
stone.
Yeah, nefarious crimes are usually something best.
I don't know if
avoided.
you should far into it though.
I did find out something
Make it
about
disappear, though.
Okay.
our
Okay.
golden
Okay.
dwarven coins.
We're gonna get
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
maybe
I don't
we
know if
should
this is
talk
the
about
best
this
place to
in
dis-
here.
to.
It's probably not. There is a dwarf sitting at the table, and while you know his name and you are on good terms with him, you have no idea how he will react to. Well, it just comes down to whether you trust Grimgrom more than you trust Vance. Vance told you not to pull the coin out in front of any dwarves.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'd be like, I heard a funny story about it. We'll discuss later. It's kind of long.
Hey, look, and I will make a like happy little tree with some little cats like lounging, and one's like on its back, like I'm getting better.
Grimgrom
Excellent.
looks at that and says, he looks at that and says, that's a neat trick.
Yeah.
Don't try it in my bar.
Oh, it's okay. And I go like that, and it disappears.
He's like, oh, that is a neat trick. And then he continues drinking. Frostbraid brings over a plate of tiny tacos.
What?
And they are nowhere near as good as Grimgrom's. Like,
Well, I don't say that out loud.
and, right, no, and when you look across the table, Grimgrom is the same way. He's like, thanks, Frostbraid.
It doesn't have his beard sweat in it. So
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not spicy. Yeah.
I
Okay,
forgot
so
about that.
you guys share a meal with Grimgrom into the late afternoon.
Okay, sounds good.
And this is where we will stop, and we will pick up next week with you exiting the bar. The thing you guys need to discuss and think about is Do you want to get out of there before Vance and Kerga leave, or are you going to wait and leave with Vance and Kerga? So that's something to think about for next time. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight and listening to our tale.
Yes, the drunkenness level of Liliana definitely affects the quality of our artwork.
They got more and more leaves and flowers. Okay, so anyway, thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody had a really good time. I'm pretty sure we did. I know I did. And we will see everyone next Tuesday. Are we looking for a tabletop roundup?
Most likely.
Okay, so we've got tabletop roundup scheduled for next Tuesday. That's on the website. If anything changes, I will. I'll post it to the website. But otherwise, we'll see everybody next week for sure. All right, so thanks everybody for tuning in, and Mom, if you're still watching, I'll see you later.